Although there were 5 people seated around the table, it did not seem crowded at all. This was the first time they had all met together, and it was today that Ling Chen had officially joined the yet-to-be-established Heart's Dream in a not-so-official way. Of course, the only thing that was missing was the other missing member. Isn't there one more member? Why isn't she here? Ling Chen asked. Big Sister Mu had something to attend to. It was like someone was calling her. TLN, Mu is her last name, not given name, Yunmeng Xin replied. While sitting down, her 2 long, sleek legs naturally crossed leg over leg. Looking at her from the side, her figure was simply breathtaking. Ling Chen had to admit that this goddess-level beauty was simply flawless no matter from which angle she was looked at. She didn't seem like a mortal girl, rather, her beauty was that which could only be seen in drawings, possible to be imagined, described, but nearly impossible to actually come into existence. Do you know who Big Sister Mu is? Hee, if you know her full name, you'll get a shock. Xiao Qi giggled. Oh. Ling Chen's expression became very curious. Xiao Qi mysteriously smiled, when you see her, you'll know. Big Sister Mu isn't just very strong, she's super pretty as well. She's actually almost as pretty as Big Sister Meng Xian. But when you see her, don't get any wrong ideas or do anything silly, Big Sister Mu is very scary when she's angry. And right, how can you still be wearing that mask? Quickly take it off. We're guildmates now, but we still haven't seen what you look like. After speaking, Xiao Qi went to grab the mask Ling Chen was wearing. Su'er also slightly raised her head, hoping to see Ling Chen take off his mask. Yunmeng Xian also turned her gaze to Ling Chen, and looked at his mask. Evidently, they all wanted to know what this super expert who had shaken China looked like. This isn't necessary, I look a bit weird, my appearance might scare you guys. Ling Chen helplessly said as he slightly retreated. Liar, liar. Xiao Qi contradicted as she shook her head, I don't believe you. Take off that mask now, we all want to see what you look like. It's not fair that you're wearing a mask. Yun Feng knew the reason why Ling Chen did not want to reveal his face, and he had previously promised Ling Chen that he would not reveal to anyone else his real identity. He hurriedly said, Chi, he has a special reason why he doesn't want people to know his real identity, so don't force him to take off his mask. One day, when he wants to, he'll take it off himself. Ling Tian, isn't that right? No. This isn't fair. The curiosity of a young maiden was very strong, and though Yun Feng had tried to convince her, Xiao Qi was still furiously shaking her head. Xiao Qi, since he doesn't want to, let's not force him. Everyone has reasons for their own privacy. Just like me, a lot of the time, I cover my face as well. After Yunmeng Xian spoke, a faint sigh came out from her lips. Xiao Qi was very respectful to young Meng Xian. After Yunmeng Xian had spoken, she puffed out her cheeks, but did not continue to pester Ling Chen and obediently sat down. However, her displeasure was written all over her face, and after sitting down, she muttered in a small voice, mean man. After seeing her actions, Ling Chen could not help but smile. He knew that after joining this guild, not allowing his guildmates to see what he looked like wasn't very polite. However, for Xue Ruo's sake, he would not let their peaceful lives be disturbed. He definitely would not let Xue Ruo be put at any risk of harm, so, at least for now, he wasn't willing to let other people know his real identity. A beautiful young girl sulking was a very cute sight. Although Xiao Qi was young, if she really was Xiao Qiufeng's younger sister, then she would be a true mafia princess. However, Ling Chen did not feel a hint of haughtiness or arrogance from her, but instead could tell that her spirit was incredibly pure and naive. This sort of girl, even if she did something wrong, no one would be able to get angry at her. Maybe it was because she reminded him a bit of Ling Xue Ruo, Ling Chen simply couldn't be too cruel to this young girl. He gently smiled, and said, alright, little Chi-Chi, it's me being mean, it's me who's in the wrong. It's my fault for making Chi-Chi angry. Although, I'll give Chi-Chi some compensation. If Chi-Chi is satisfied with my compensation, then don't be angry anymore, alright? Ling Chen's use of Chi-Chi was somewhat affectionate. Yunfeng, who Ling Chen had always treated coldly, started to feel goosebumps creeping up across his whole body. He stared at Ling Chen. He never thought that the cold Ling Chen would have such a side, or was he only like this to girls? Compensation? What compensation? Xiaoqi didn't show any reaction to Ling Chen calling her Chi-Chi at all, but her eyes lit up when she had heard the word compensation. She leaned forwards, pressing her bountiful chest onto the table. You're a water elementalist, right? Ling Chen smiled as he asked. That's right. How did you know? Ah, could it be that you want to give me equipment? Correct. Ling Chen waved his hand, and took out a magic staff that radiated a faint green light from his bag. This magic staff is most suitable for wind elementalists to use, but it's still quite good for other elementalists to use as well. Ling Chen put the long magic staff onto the table. Just from its appearance, it was evident that this was not some ordinary magic staff. The 5 people seated around the table all fixed their gazes onto the magic staff. Wind Spirit Staff, Type, Magic Staff, Long, Grade, Gold, Equipment Requirements, any Elementalist, Priest or Summoner Class Profession LV-15 or above. A magic staff that harbors dense wind element, after equipping can buff the effects of wind magic. Attributes, Magic Attack plus 50, Spirit plus 15, MP plus 50, All Wind Class Spell Damage plus 10%, All Wind Magic Chanting Time 20%. Wah! Xiaoqi and Yunfeng let out gasps. Oh my god! LV-15 Gold Magic Staff. This magic attack, these attributes, Yunfeng stared, enchanted by the magic staff. He yelled as he wiped away the drool that had been leaking from his mouth. He almost started hating himself for not choosing the elementalist class. If he was an elementalist, he would at least have the right to beg Ling Chen for this amazing piece of equipment. In the early stages of the game, gold equipment were godly things. This was the first time he had ever seen gold equipment. Is this really for me? Xiaoqi held the magic staff in her hands, her excited little face became incredibly red. Although this magic staff was evidently most suitable for wind elementalists, it was still a gold weapon. The stats on a gold weapon were something that the stats on ordinary weapons could never match up to. As the Princess of the Battle Alliance, Xiaoqi knew exactly how precious gold equipment was at this stage of the game. This was a priceless treasure. Presently, the gold equipment that had appeared in China were almost as rare as unicorns. Even her big brother only had silver equipment, and that was already considered to be very impressive. Yet, in her hands, was a gold weapon. Of course, if you want to use it, you'll need to be at least LV-15. Make sure you work hard. Ling Chen said as he smiled. Xiaoqi was so happy that her eyebrows almost started to dance. Her sulking from earlier had completely disappeared. She actually owned the gold equipment now. Just thinking about it almost made her want to jump up and down with joy. She looked up, both eyes starting to water up. She felt extremely overwhelmed, and her voice was as soft and gentle as cotton as she spoke. Big brother Ling Tian, you're the best. Muamua. Xiaoqi pressed her white and tender fingers to her soft lips, and blew Ling Chen a kiss. Afterwards, she jumped up and down as she played with the wind elementalist magic staff in her hands. She gave off the impression that she would not be willing to part with it for even a moment. Women are such admirable creatures. Yunfeng enviously looked at Xiaoqi, then pitifully looked at Ling Chen, hoping that Ling Chen would take out some equipment to give to him. Ling Chen already had 2 celestial-grade equipment. Yunfeng was sure that the gold and silver equipment that other people could only dream of were akin to trash to Ling Chen. Ling Chen ignored Yunfeng's pitiful look, and instead looked at Su'er. As she became aware of Ling Chen looking at her, Su'er's reaction was like that of a frightened little rabbit and hurriedly looked downwards. She was naturally very shy, and had never been able to look back at a boy for very long. Su'er, you should be an archer, right? Ling Chen asked. Her class was very easy to guess from the equipment that she was wearing. Why yes, having Ling Chen suddenly speak to her, Su'er panicked, and weakly replied. This girl, she probably rarely talked to people she didn't know. However, there was something about this girl that made people just want to like her. He smiled, and took out a pure silver bow from his bag and put it in front of Su'er. Here, this is for you. Wind Chaser Bow, Type, Bow, Grade, Silver, Equipment Requirements, any archer class profession LV 15 or above. Attributes, Physical Attack plus 31, Strength plus 5, Agility plus 8, Attack Speed plus 20. Attacks will deal 10 bonus damage of wind element. Silver Grade Bow. Xiao Qi gently exclaimed. Although the stats on this bow definitely could not match up to the gold magic staff, silver equipment was also something that ordinary players could only dream of. Su'er picked up the bow and lovingly looked at it. Her cheeks became slightly pink as she looked at Ling Chen for a moment, then immediately lowered her head again. She softly said, "Thank you big brother Ling Tian, I really like it. Here, this is also for you." As he spoke, Ling Chen took out a full body armor that glowed with a faint green light. Wind Spirit's Clothes, Type, Full Body Light Armor, Grade, Gold, Equipment Requirements, any archer class profession LV 15 or above. Mystical Clothes that contain wind elemental power. After wearing body becomes light and agile like wind. Attributes, Defense plus 50, Agility plus 15, HP plus 100, Attack Speed plus 15, Wind Elemental Resistance plus 10%. Wah! This time, even Su'er could not help but let out a gentle cry of disbelief. Even if the person was a newbie to the VRMO world, they would still know that a full body armor, and a gold class one at that, was extremely valuable. If the stats of this, Wind Spirit's Clothes, were to be released, it would send waves across all of China, arousing the jealousy and admiration of all archers. It was the first time Su'er had ever met Ling Chen, and yet he had given her such a precious gift, one that could not be given a price. Although she extremely liked this piece of equipment, she couldn't bring herself to accept it. Su'er was indeed a very pure and kind-hearted girl. If it was anyone else, receiving a gift so valuable for free, they would immediately snatch it up. Ling Chen smiled, "Of course this is for you. Su, we're going to be guildmates from now on. It's extremely important for guildmates to help each other out, to trust and rely on each other. Plus, if we find equipment that's suitable for other guildmates, of course we'll give it to them. Su, if you find any equipment that's suitable for me in future, you would give it to me as well, right?" Su'er slightly raised her head. The worry and internal conflict inside her had vanished, and a very sweet smile began to grow on her face. She nodded, and gave a small "N", then put the Wind Spirit's Clothes away. To this Ling Chen who she had just met for the first time, she not only respected him as a strong player, but also started having some positive feelings towards him. Xiao Qi looked at Ling Chen, then looked at Su'er. Her mouth curved upwards with a devious smile. "Ha! Big brother Ling Tian, you're being so nice to our Su'er because you like her, right? Hee, our Su'er's so cute, so pretty, so pure. When she grows up, she'll definitely become a super beauty like big sister Meng Xian. If I was a man, I'd like her a lot as well. However, our Su'er already has an arranged marriage, so, Chi, don't be a blabbermouth." Su'er hurriedly grabbed Xiao Qi's arm. Arranged marriage? Ling Chen looked at Su'er in surprise. Su, don't be shy. Your arranged marriage is something that everyone knows about. Otherwise, the line of people lining up to go after you would extend out of China. Shao Qi said as she giggled. Yunmeng Xian gave a faint smile, then said with a gentle voice, "It's like this. When Su Su was 12, her parents made the arranged marriage for her. The agreement was that when Su Su became of age to marry, which is her 16th birthday, that would be her wedding day. Come to think of it, it's nearly Su Su's 16th birthday. Right, when the time comes we need to properly celebrate. Although, I never thought that the first to get married out of us sisters would be the youngest, little Su Su. Alright, Su Su's always been very shy, I'll stop talking about this. However, big brother Ling Tian, don't get too interested in Su Su. This arranged marriage is no joke, her fiancé is very strong, even my big brother doesn't dare look down on him. I'm really not trying to scare you." Beside Shao Qi, Su'er lowered her head, and did not speak anymore. Seeing her lower her head, Ling Chen noticed that her original delight in receiving the wind spirit's clothes had all but disappeared. She had an almost imperceptible melancholic look on her face. It seemed that this arranged marriage was against her wishes. Ling Chen thought, maybe this was one of the reasons why she joined Heart's Dream? Things such as arranged marriages were very rarely seen in the lives of normal people. However, in the world of business and politics, they were common existences in order to secure deals or alliances. The bigger and more powerful a family was, the more common they were. In these sorts of families, children had no say with regards to their marriages, everything was determined by their families. In order for their families to flourish, they would need to make strong connections, which was achieved through marriages. Such families would never allow their children to marry anyone who would not bring any benefit to the family, or even be a burden to the family. Yunmeng Xian was a classic example. Su'er seemed to be one as well. Although her personality wasn't one to rebel as defiantly as Yunmeng Xian, she was still the type to silently accept it even though she was unwilling. She definitely wouldn't openly rebel against her family. Ahem, this. Chi and Su Su all received such big presents, what about M? Ahem, Meng Xian and I? Shao Qi and Su'er had both received gold-grade equipment. If Yun Feng had not been doing his absolute best to hold it in, his drool would have been all over the floor already. He finally could not hold back, and started to shamelessly ask Ling Chen for his presents. His actions caused the girls to start laughing. Facing Yun Feng's watery eyes, Ling Chen remained calm and collected. He turned towards Yunmeng Xian and asked, "Meng Xian, you're a warrior, right?" A girl with the figure of a goddess had actually chosen a melee class. Her personality was indeed very strong and independent. However, when she fought with her weapons, the scene would be very beautiful. Yunmeng Xian nodded. Ling Chen stretched out his hands and two long swords appeared in his hands. He put them on the table together. These two swords glowed with an earthy yellow color, and looked exactly the same as each other. Sand blade, type, two-handed sword, grade, gold, equipment requirements, any warrior profession LV10 or above, including apprentices, color like yellow sand, a mysterious sword that bears a heavy earth elemental strength. Attributes, attack plus 35, strength plus 10, agility plus 5, 3% chance to add 5 seconds of petrification. Holy fuck! Yun Feng was so excited that he almost jumped onto the table. He sprang onto one of the sand blades like a ravenous wolf, and emotionally clutched it to his chest, as if it was a beautiful woman. Gold weapon. I finally have a gold weapon, and it's one I can immediately use. Ha 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 ha. Yun Feng was currently LV10, which satisfied the level requirement for the sand blade. This meant that he could immediately start using the sand blade, unlike Chi and Su'er who needed to wait until they reached LV15 before they could equip their gold equipment. This made him incredibly happy. While stroking the sand blade, he spoke with a big grin, this attack power. These stats. This appearance. This truly is gold equipment. Compared to this, the sword I'm using is just a piece of rubbish. After having his little rant, he raised his head, and gratefully looked at Ling Chen. Ling Tian, you're so thoughtful. You actually gave us brother and sister a pair of the same gold weapons. I'm so moved that I'm about to cry. Ling Chen slightly leaned backwards, his hand stroking his chin. He slowly said, no worries, you don't need to be moved. These two swords are both for Meng Xian, I currently don't have anything for you. Yun Feng immediately froze, and remained completely still for 3 seconds. He pretended not to hear what Ling Chen had just said, and hid the sand blade behind his back, and started to ramble, this. Ha. The weather's really great today, such a good day to make a good joke. Right, what did you just say, Ling Tian? I don't think I heard you clearly. This sword, not bad, not bad. Seeing as you're adamantly gifting this sword to me, I'll just have to accept it. I'll definitely repay you in future. Ling Chen, Shaoqi let out a pcht sound and Yun Meng Xian also gave a small laugh. She picked up the other sand blade, big brother Ling Tian, don't tease my brother. His face is still white from the shock you gave him. What you said just then was very true, we're guildmates now, so we should help each other out. In that case, I'll gratefully accept this sword. However, I still need to thank you, Ling Chen. The girls and Yun Feng all thought that Ling Chen giving both of these swords to Meng Xian was a joke. Warriors could only equip one sword, this was common knowledge. Giving two of the exactly same sword to someone would be a waste. Ling Chen raised his eyebrows, and said, I'm not joking. Meng Xian, this is for you. If a guild wants to develop, its leader, the center of the guild, must be strong enough for other people to acknowledge. I hope this will help you with that. Ling Chen took out a scroll. This was the Phantasmal Bladedancer class change scroll that he had obtained from the Hall of Heroic Spirits. The scroll's appearance was very ordinary, and looked exactly the same as a teleport scroll. The moment Yun Feng and the three girls looked clearly at the attributes, they found themselves unable to believe their eyes. Hidden Profession Scroll. Apart from Yun Meng Xian, who was able to remain calm and composed, the other people started screaming in unison. Even the quiet Suer's mouth hung open, her face full of disbelief. What was a hidden profession scroll? Its value was greater than even 1,000, or even 10,000 gold equips. It was something that all players were desperate to get their hands on, something that could only be obtained by most players in their dreams. Only 9 hidden professions had ever appeared in Guess Predecessor, a global game that had been out for 10 years. This meant that an average of only 1 hidden profession appeared every year. It was evident how rare hidden professions were. However, right now, Ling Chen had just casually taken out a hidden profession scroll and placed it in front of them. With this scroll, they would not need to desperately search, or complete ridiculously hard quests, or fight death battles with other players. All they needed to do was gently shatter it in their hands, and they would be able to change to a hidden profession. Looking at this scroll, Yun Feng's heart started to race. Ling Chen already had many things that would drive the entire player base in China crazy. If they knew that he had a hidden profession scroll as well, who knew what would happen? Suddenly, Yun Feng understood why Ling Chen had said that both swords were for Meng Xian. This was because the Phantasmal Bladedancer class allowed one to use 2 weapons at the same time. In addition, if the 2 weapons were exactly the same, the power would be increased. Looking at the calm and smiling Ling Chen, Yun Feng was deeply shocked, as well as ever so grateful at the same time. High-class equips, hidden profession scroll, these were all priceless items that Ling Chen had freely given to Yun Meng Xian and the other 2 girls. For sure, part of the reason for Ling Chen doing so was because of how likable the girls were. However, acting like this without any reservation or hesitation also showed how dedicated Ling Chen was towards helping Meng Xian and Heart's Dream. Indeed, from the beginning, Yunfeng should have been completely at ease. For a person of Ling Chen's status and power, his promise to help them was something that was extremely precious. This thought appeared in both Yunfeng and Meng Xian's minds. Shao Qi and Su'er both looked at Ling Chen. Although today was the first time they had ever met, he was already no longer a stranger to them. Because of the mask, there was still a sense of mysteriousness around him. However, despite that, they began to feel a sense of closeness towards him as well. Thinking about all that had happened in one day, the girls felt that perhaps Heart's Dream's future would be one that no one could ever imagine. The originally almost unattainable goal now had a sliver of hope of being accomplished. Although Ling Chen had given out a heap of priceless treasures, in return he had gained the trust and approval of all the guild members. Thus, he did not feel that he made a loss. He faintly smiled and said, "No need to be so courteous. I promised Yunfeng that I would help you accomplish your goal, so I will definitely do that. Whether you think I'm trustworthy or just plain arrogant, that doesn't matter to me. Yunfeng helped me save the most important thing in my life, so the promise I made to him, I will definitely keep it. Helping you is also helping myself, so you don't have to feel like you owe me anything, let alone thank me." Although Ling Chen spoke calmly, his words carried a powerful sense of determination. Meng Xian gently smiled, "I definitely believe that you'll succeed. Being able to fight on equal grounds with Ev. With that person, even if I don't believe in anyone I'd still believe in you," Yunfeng said as he nodded. He winced, his face full of agony, then, "Alright, I'll give this sword to Meng Xian." Meng Xian smiled, and did not say anything as she put away the two sand blades. The normally calm Meng Xian suddenly had a sense of urgency and impatience to quickly change classes, then equip both swords. She wanted to see what sort of power she would have. Ling Chen was right, if a guild wanted to develop and grow, its leader must have sufficient power. Indeed, battle power was one of the most important types of power. Holding the Phantasmal Bladedancer class change scroll that Ling Chen had given her, she knew that she would not have any excuses for not having enough power. So, they all got presents that matched their class. Could it be that you don't have anything that matches my class? Seeing all the girls holding their gold equips, as well as his own little sister holding the hidden profession scroll that he longed for, Yunfeng's heart ached as he desperately asked Ling Chen. "Of course there is." Ling Chen immediately replied. Yunfeng's eyes suddenly glowed with the brightness of 300 light bulbs. Quickly, show me." "Ahaha, even though you're pretty cold at times, I know that deep down you're a warm-hearted fellow. I just knew you wouldn't leave me out." Subsequently, Ling Chen took out two items. Both were silver weapons, one was a double-handed sword, the other was a spear. Take your pick. You can have both if you want." Ling Chen lazily said, showing his generosity. Yunfeng gleefully started to look at the two weapons. However, after looking at the stats of the double-handed sword, his face started to droop. After looking at the stats of the spear, tears were almost coming out from his eyes. Ling Chen had obtained both of these weapons from the war god's trial ground, and both of these were silver weapons. Any normal player would have been overjoyed to receive them. If the Yunfeng from before had received these gifts, he would have been extremely excited. However, after seeing the three girls and their gold equipment, silver seemed like nothing to him anymore. His face full of grief, he said, "Ling Tian, why did you give them all gold equipment, and only silver to me?" "Isn't that obvious?" Shao Qi's lips parted, revealing a charming smile. "It's because we're all beauties, whereas you're a man. To big brother Ling Tian, we're obviously much more attractive. Right, big brother Ling Tian?" Yunfeng, because I'm a guild member of Heart's Dream, so of course I have to put my guildmates in Heart's Dream first. You're not part of Heart's dream, are you? Ling Chen said half-jokingly. Yun Feng bitterly wept. Alright, I'll stop being mean to you. It's just that right now, I don't have any gold equips that suit you. If I find any in future, I'll give some to you, alright? Besides, I believe that through your own hard work and efforts, you'll definitely be able to reap some good rewards. After all, I believe we're both the same type of man. Yun Feng gradually calmed down, and a slight smile appeared on his face. That's quite true. Of course, receiving something was better than nothing, so Yun Feng decided in the end to keep the 2 silver weapons. There's something I want to confirm. Ling Chen became serious, and asked. Just then, Chi mentioned someone called Long Tianyun. Is that the person who Meng Xian has an arranged marriage with? Just one short sentence caused the excited guild members inside the Heart's Dream building to become silent. Everyone's expressions became serious and solemn. I haven't told you about this before. I didn't want to put you under too much pressure, but you'd find out sooner or later. Yun Feng said with a sigh. Yun Feng's answer dispelled any doubts Ling Chen had. He turned his head and looked out the window. Indeed, the pressure is quite great. Looks like I thought too simply. Just achieving this goal within 2 years is extremely difficult, and even if there was hope for that, Long Tianyun would be doing his best to hinder us as well. Long Tianyun. Yan Huang Alliance. Sigh. Yun Feng once again sighed. Whenever he thought of the words, Yan Huang Alliance, he simply could not relax. For the past few years, Ling Chen had dedicated himself to taking care of Shui Ruo. He had not gone anywhere near the virtual world, and naturally did not know the name Yan Huang Alliance, much less what the surname Long represented. TLN, Long equals dragon in Chinese. Tell me what's going on with the Yan Huang Alliance. Ling Chen said. Yun Feng nodded. He was already prepared to tell Ling Chen these things. He knew that although these things were common knowledge to most players, Ling Chen had not stepped into the virtual world for a long time, and so he would not have knowledge of these things. In China, there are currently 3 great powers, Yan Huang Alliance, Skyfall Dynasty, and the Dark Knight. Out of those 3, Yan Huang Alliance is the strongest. Not only is it the most powerful in China, but also in the whole world. This is acknowledged by everyone. Yan Huang Alliance is simply too powerful and has too much influence. No one truly knows just how powerful it really is. It is said that when Yan Huang Alliance was at its peak, it had tens of millions of players. Of course, this is probably an exaggeration, though the true figure was probably not far from that. What is undeniable is that it is simply unsurpassable. Yan Huang Alliance, in China, there was not a single player that did not know this name. Although it was a gaming guild, it wasn't just some ordinary guild. This was because the family group supporting it was the family with the most political power, Long family. The position of the head of the alliance was naturally the one who had the most political power in all of China, Long Zhengyang. However, because Long Zhengyang had many national matters to attend to, the one in charge of managing the Yan Huang Alliance was his sole heir. Long Tianyun, Yan Huang Alliance's real leader and guildmaster. Long Tianyun was currently only 25 years old. As the sole heir of the Long family, he would one day inherit the power that his father possessed. Saying that his background, status, and conditions were the best in China would not be an exaggeration at all. Many people dreamt of having connections with the Long family. After Long Tianyun had met Yun Meng Xian, he had vowed that he was determined to marry her. As such, Yun Meng Xian's family was overjoyed, because this was something that many families desired, yet could never have. When Long Tianyun became the chief political leader in China, the Yun family would naturally also receive many benefits and become the envy of other families. With such a family background, the sincere Long Tianyun had been rejected by Yun Meng Xian, leading to the creation of Heart's Dream. Moreover, its fame, size and riches were something that normal guilds could never compare to. The Yan-Huang alliance contained countless family groups in China, both large and small. As such, it was tied not only to the welfare of China and the Long family, but countless other family groups as well. The Yan-Huang alliance was simply an existence that would exist eternally, and would not be allowed to be destroyed. Of course, there wasn't anyone who had the power to destroy it. Furthermore, Yan-Huang Alliance's power did not just come from the Yan-Huang Alliance itself. It had countless branches and subsidiary guilds. Ling Chen had previously encountered the Battle Alliance, led by Xiao Qiufeng before, which was one of the subsidiary guilds of the Yan-Huang Alliance. If the Yan-Huang Alliance was threatened in any way, all of these subsidiary guilds would assist the Yan-Huang Alliance. Thus, without a doubt, Yan-Huang Alliance was a giant in China. There were hundreds of millions of players in China, but only 10 in the heaven rankings. Of these 10 spaces, 3 of them were taken by the Yan-Huang Alliance, including the number 1 position, which was taken by the supposedly unbeatable Sword Emperor. If all the subsidiary guilds were included as well, half, or even more than half, of the heaven rankings would belong to the Yan-Huang Alliance. 5 years ago, the head of the Long family put Long Tianyun in charge of all of the Yan-Huang Alliance, who met everyone's expectations. You've got to hand it to the Long family, there's not a single member of that family who's an ordinary person. That year, Long Tianyun was only 20 years old. Within 5 years, under his leadership, the Yan-Huang Alliance has become stronger and stronger, growing at an unprecedented rate. His personal battle power is very strong, his leadership is second to none, his schemes and plots are also incredible. And his eyes, oh, how do I describe it, being looked at by him, it feels like I'm not wearing clothes at all, he can see everything, including my thoughts, clear as day. All in all, he's a very powerful and very scary person. Even though he's young, no one dares to look down on or underestimate him. Plus, his looks are extremely good as well. Yun Feng scratched his face as he muttered, although I've always thought that my looks are pretty good, when compared to him, even I have to admit that I can't compare. AI, Long family genes. Ling Chen. No matter if it's power, wealth, looks or future prospects, he has them all. I believe that many girls would not even dare to dream of marrying him. Meng Xian, why did you reject someone like that? Ling Chen slowly asked, his voice completely calm and emotionless. Beneath his mask, no one was able to see the glint of coldness in his eyes. Yun Meng Xian shook her head, if comparing how flawless his external attributes are, no one can match up to him. That year when my father and the Long family made the arranged marriage, I did my best to get to know him. On the surface level, he's very approachable and friendly, humble and kind. However, he has a side that the vast majority of people do not know about. Deep down, in order to achieve his goals, he resorts to any method, no matter how vicious or cruel it is. Although he is yet to reach the age of 30, he has lost all his humanity and sees people only as tools and stepping stones. Things like emotions or morality probably mean nothing to him at all. Ling Chen's tone did not change at all as he casually asked, if he didn't resort to some cruel and vicious methods, how else would he be able to control and develop a guild as large as the Yan-Huang Alliance? How would someone who relies on his emotions and morality support and manage the largest guild in the whole world, a guild that is tied to the welfare and reputation of China itself? Cruel and vicious? Who could compare to Ling Chen when it came to this? Ling Chen looked at his own hands. Before he met Shui Rua, his hands had been completely stained in blood. They had taken away countless lives, and could never be washed clean. If he hadn't met Shui Rua, perhaps he would have already become a heartless demon with no hope of redemption. Yun Meng Xian was silent for a short while, and then gently sighed, indeed, what you said is true. Being able to accomplish what he has accomplished by the age of 25 is not something that anyone is able to do. He will definitely become a figure who is admired by countless people, but he definitely is not suited to being a spouse to live with for a lifetime. What I want is someone who I love, who loves me back. Someone who will protect me and care for me for a lifetime. Although Long Tianyun's background and status are things that no one can even compare to, but he's definitely not the type of person I want to marry. His personality is one that would casually use and sacrifice the people closest to him in order to benefit himself. Marrying him would be the same as marrying a deceptive viper. I would never be happy. The life he lives is not the life I desire. Ling Chen. Yun Feng gave a sigh and said, Meng Xian, don't worry. No matter what, I will stand on your side. Father and the rest of them have been looking down on us, humph. We definitely will stand on the side of Big Sister Meng Xian. Big Sister Meng Xian is a goddess who came down to earth. Even if it's Long Tianyun, he is not worthy of Big Sister Meng Xian. Plus, the thing I most hate is using us girls' futures as ways to secure benefits. I hate it. This sort of thing, I definitely won't allow to happen to Big Sister Meng Xian. Xiao Qi said as she grabbed Suer's little hands. Suer also vigorously nodded her head. They had seen this sort of thing too many times. They definitely did not want to see Yun Meng Xian become a sacrificial offering as well, even if it was to the Long family. Yun Meng Xian warmly smiled, her every word filled with gratitude. Thank you, all of you. Yun Feng continued to speak. Let's return to the main topic. Ling Tian, although you haven't been in the virtual world much, you've surely heard of the Yan-Huang alliance, right? I believe that if there's anyone who can help Meng Xian complete her goal in 2 years, it's you. However, if there's one thing we have to remember, it's to avoid the Yan-Huang alliance at all costs. Long Tianyun is determined to have Meng Xian and AI, at least until now, he's always been able to get what he wants. Like Meng Xian said just then, his schemes and plots are something to be feared, and he would do anything to accomplish his goals. I'm sure that he knows about the bet my father and Meng Xian made. If, in 2 years, Meng Xian really could garner a reputation and fortune that could rival the Yun family financial groups, I'm sure that Long Tianyun would try to suppress you guys as much as possible. Not only does Meng Xian need to face an almost impossible goal, but will face many obstacles as well. Yan-Huang alliance is pretty much invincible, and there's no one with the power to fight with it. Its power and people cover every corner of the virtual world. Facing the Yan-Huang alliance as our enemies, all we can do is quietly expand and grow. Never directly face Long Tianyun, otherwise, everything will have been for naught. After Yun Feng finished speaking, he silently waited for Ling Chen's response. The 3 girls all remained silent. Even the energetic and boisterous Xiao Qi didn't say anything along the lines of, "We don't need to be afraid of the Yan-Huang alliance," to improve the mood. The Yan-Huang alliance was simply too big and powerful, every person knew this. Ling Chen was quiet for a while, then spoke, "Let's talk about the other 2 big powers." Yun Feng nodded his head and said, "The second-ranked power out of the 3 great powers is the Skyfall Dynasty. The Skyfall Dynasty appeared earlier than the Yan-Huang alliance. The Yan-Huang alliance was only created after the 100-year Armistice Convention. The Skyfall Dynasty was created before the armistice. To date, it has been around for more than 60 years. It has become one of the legends of the gaming world. It has an extremely solid foundation, and even the Yan-Huang alliance doesn't dare to do anything to it. The Skyfall Dynasty is the only guild that dares to openly oppose the Yan-Huang alliance. The Yan-Huang alliance's forces are gathered in the north, around China's capital. The families that are part of the Skyfall Dynasty are gathered in south. One of the families is the Li family financial group, as well as China's strongest 3 great families. With the financial resources of the Li family and the skill of the experts of the 3 great families, the Skyfall Dynasty's power has been ever increasing. Although it cannot compare to the Yan-Huang alliance, it's definitely not an ordinary guild either. The Yan-Huang Alliance and Skyfall Dynasty have always been having small conflicts, but have been wisely avoiding large-scale conflicts. Both sides know that if these two great powers started a war, no one would benefit. If, one day, Yan-Huang Alliance was able to destroy the Skyfall Dynasty, it would be Pyrrhic victory, as they would suffer severe casualties as well. Moreover, attacking the Li family financial group would affect the economy of all of China, and even the Long family would not dare to easily anger the three great families. The Skyfall Dynasty also has many experts. The three heavenly kings of Skyfall Dynasty are all ranked on the Heaven and Earth rankings. The most powerful is ranked number 3 on the Heaven rankings, and the other two are ranked number 8 on the Heaven rankings and number 2 on the Earth rankings. Just the Yan-Huang Alliance and Skyfall Dynasty occupy almost half of the Heaven and Earth rankings. The third-ranked power, the Dark Knight. After saying the name, the Dark Knight, Yun Feng's voice paused, and his whole body shivered. You probably haven't heard of the name the Dark Knight before. It's a power that only recently emerged, and has only been around for a few years. The Yan-Huang Alliance and Skyfall Dynasty all have millions of players, with the Yan-Huang Alliance approaching 10 million players. Can you guess how many members the third rank the Dark Knight has? Few. When I say it, you definitely won't believe me. The Dark Knight's players only number around 2,000, some people say there aren't even 1,000, not even 1/1,000 of the number of players the Yan-Huang Alliance and Skyfall Dynasty have. However, they still able to stand with the other two as one of the three great powers. Ling Chen did not speak, and waited for Yun Feng to continue. Yun Feng continued to speak. Without a doubt, the Yan-Huang Alliance is the largest, most powerful force in China. However, the most intimidating and terrifying power is the Dark Knight. This is something that no one dares to dispute. Normally, if a guild wants to become large and powerful, it must have players from all of the major classes, especially priests and shield guards. However, in the Dark Knight, all of the players have the same class. Assassins, and moreover, they all belong to the killer branch of the assassin class. The Dark Knight doesn't use various business methods to gather financial resources. They only have one method, assassinations. As long as you pay them enough money, they will assassinate anyone for you. Since the Dark Knight emerged, they have never failed at an assassination mission before. 3 years ago, what caused all players to firmly remember the name, the Dark Knight, was something that happened in the game Heaven Slaughter. A player used large amounts of money to hire the Dark Knight to kill a super expert, the 6th-ranked player in the Heaven rankings, the judge, who belonged to the Yan-Huang Alliance. 3 days later, the number 6 player on the Heaven rankings had been assassinated by the Dark Knight. However, that wasn't the end of the story. The Dark Knight had been hired to either kill the player until he was LV0, or until he never appeared in Heaven Slaughter again. From that day onwards, every time the judge appeared, he would always be mercilessly assassinated. Within a month, he had been killed 12 times, and never appeared in the game again. Because of this, the Yan-Huang Alliance tried to retaliate against the Dark Knight. However, to this date, even though the Yan-Huang Alliance used various methods, they were never even able to catch a shadow of the Dark Knight. Although they tried to trap the Dark Knight many times, they failed on every occasion. Not only does the Dark Knight possess incredible assassination power, but their skills in detection, investigation and anti-investigation are also top-notch. From then onwards, the Dark Knight became an existence feared by all players. To be honest, if it was a direct battle, they might not even be able to beat a small guild. However, they never battle in plain sight. With their few thousand players, they have been called the demons in the darkness. The guild master, the one called Shinigami, is ranked 2nd on the Heaven rankings, and is more powerful than the strongest heavenly king of the Skyfall Dynasty. He's not even very inferior to the Sword Emperor. Even if the Sword Emperor can beat the Shinigami in a direct battle, if the Shinigami wanted to assassinate the Sword Emperor, no one would be able to predict the outcome. After remembering all the information that Yunfeng had spewed out, Ling Chen asked, "Tell me about the top 3 players on the heaven rankings." Ling Chen's interest in the top 3 players in the heaven rankings, as opposed to the entire heaven rankings, let alone the entire earth rankings, meant that he only took the top 3 seriously. Yunfeng cracked a smile, and started speaking, "Heh, the top 3 players on the heaven rankings are all monsters that every player knows about. The top-ranked Sword Emperor is called Feng Xiaoyu, which is also his IGN. There has never been anyone who has dared to take this IGN. Since he was little, the Sword Emperor grew up in the Long family. Perhaps the only people who know about his background are the Long family. The Sword Emperor's might came from sword skills which can be brought into the virtual world. Since the emergence of the Sword Emperor, he has never lost to anyone in China. The Sword Emperor was the general of the Yan-Huang alliance, and his primary duty was to protect Long Tianyun. The third-ranked player on the heaven rankings is Skyfall, also called the Apocalypse Judge. He is the heir of the Nangong family, China's strongest special ability family, and has always chosen the class summoner. Being the descendant of a special ability family, he possesses extraordinary spiritual force. Thus, he has an overwhelming advantage in the virtual world. As a summoner, he can summon countless more summoned beasts than other summoners at the same level. The power and grade of the summoned beasts are much higher as well. He is extremely powerful, especially in the late game. Out of all of the players in the heaven rankings, he is the strongest in group battles. If he is given enough time, he can summon enough summoned beasts to wipe out a large army. After rambling for a while, Yunfeng became slightly thirsty. What he had just said was all common knowledge, only someone like Ling Chen who had not even gone near the virtual world in the past few years would not know these things. After taking a deep breath, Yunfeng continued, "Ling Tian, I've never doubted your strength, but when you're going against these 3 people, you must be careful. This especially goes for the Sword Emperor and Shinigami. Also, even if a single player is extremely strong, in the end they are still unable to face a large army by themselves. Thus, Heart's dream needs to keep low-key, otherwise if you arouse the attention of Long Tianyun, there will be no hope left." Yunfeng's fear of Long Tianyun was evidently revealed through his mental state and speech when talking about him. Even though he was not a cowardly or overly cautious person, Long Tianyun was simply too monstrous. As for what Yunfeng had just said, Ling Chen did not comment, and sat there for a while in deep contemplation. All right. Let's not talk about these boring things anymore. We just got a bunch of powerful equips and big sister Meng Xian just got a new class. We should go out and bully some monsters to level up. We need to rush to LV-15 so Su and I can use our gold equips and become even stronger. After listening to Yunfeng ramble for a while, Xiaoqi became incredibly bored and could not take it anymore. She pulled Su'er up, and energetically yelled, let's go. If there's anything else to discuss, we'll talk about it on the way. We can even talk about it while wrecking some monsters. It's so boring here. Big brother Ling Tian is so strong. If you help us level up, I'm sure it'll be very fast. Alright. Ling Chen quickly agreed, and stood up with Xiaoqi. Yay! Let's go. So this will be our first guild outing, off we go. Going along with Xiaoqi's demands, the first guild outing was decided. Xiaoqi pulled Su'er and left first, impatiently wanting to quickly reach LV-15 in order to equip the gold weapons Ling Chen had given them. Yunfeng scratched his head, and embarrassedly said, if there's nothing else, I'll be going now. There's some things for me to take care of, and if my father saw me with Meng Xian, then, AI. Big brother, you go first. You don't need to worry about us here. Meng Xian said in a gentle voice. Yunfeng nodded, then I'll be going now. Ling Tian, please take care of my little sister. I leave her and the bet to you. No matter what the outcome is, to have been able to meet you, I'm already satisfied. Afterwards, Yun Feng quickly left. Ling Chen and Yun Meng Xian walked together, following Shao Qi and Su'er. Your big brother is the guild master of the Disillusion Alliance, right? Ling Chen asked as he walked. Yun Meng Xian did not try to hide anything from Ling Chen, and slightly nodded her head. The Disillusion Alliance was founded by the Yun family, and is a subsidiary branch of the Yan Huang Alliance. Currently my big brother is the guild master. It's not exactly a large guild, but it's not small either. Also a subsidiary branch of the Yan Huang Alliance. The Yan Huang Alliance's sphere of influence was simply unbelievable. With this sort of power, it pretty much controlled the virtual world in China. Ling Chen turned his head, and looked at Yun Meng Xian. In his line of sight appeared a pair of beautiful eyes, but they were partially obscured by the veil. Ling Chen could not refrain himself from saying, beauty is a woman's wealth, the thing she desires most, but too much beauty can instead lead to tragedy. Yun Meng Xian suddenly stopped walking. Her beautiful eyes held a hint of melancholy as she looked at the two girls in front of her holding hands, one bubbly and energetic, the other quiet and shy. Her lips quivered, and said with a calm yet complicated tone, Ling Tian, since I was young, I've never easily trusted anyone. However, from the first time I met you, I felt that you were a completely trustworthy person. Maybe it's the charm and charisma that you have, so can you tell me, what should I do to avoid this tragedy? The answer is cruel one, do you still want to hear it? Ling Chen calmly said, continuing to look forwards. Yun Meng Xian, you and Yun Feng both said that whatever Long Tian Yun wanted, it would be his sooner or later, as well as that he would do anything to achieve his goals. In that case, let's say you really won the bet with your father. Even if he honored his promise and did not force you to marry him, would Long Tian Yun just accept that? Ling Chen said emotionlessly. Yun Meng Xian's head slightly drooped and said with a low voice, this answer is indeed quite cruel. Meng Xian, you're a very smart girl. I'm sure you've already thought of these things, but you've always just subconsciously rejected it. However, despite knowing what the situation is like, you still choose to struggle, smart? Yun Meng Xian shook her head, smart women usually can't find happiness, because the smarter a woman is, the harder it is for her to find a man who she truly admires and respects. From the age of 15, I had always wished that I was just an ordinary girl. Ling Chen stopped walking, and looked at Yun Meng Xian. From the first time he had met her, she had displayed the temperament of a goddess. However, the Yun Meng Xian in front of him right now revealed a deeply hidden sense of helplessness. You're very lucky, because you met me. In this world, perhaps the only person who can grant you your wish is me. Standing still, Ling Chen started to muse to himself. Growing and expanding quietly without attracting the attention of the Yan Huang Alliance? Ah. Ling Chen slightly smiled, his smile full of a confident arrogance. Before, I was the nightmare of many people. In this world, there isn't anyone with the power to make me feel fear. Walking along with three goddess-level beauties, Ling Chen could not help but feel quite pleasant. The LV-13 monster area had already been packed full of people. Wherever they went, there were always more players than monsters. Shao Qi led Su'er around by the hand, looking for a good place to farm. TLN, just for people who haven't played RPGs before, farming is just killing monsters and leveling up over a period of time. Out of curiosity, she would ask Ling Chen many questions. However, the pure and naive Shao Qi was unable to get many truthful answers out of the old fox Ling Chen. The markets in the virtual reality world are enormous now, this is something that everyone acknowledges. Every game that has been internationally developed and supported always has people rushing to claim market share in the various markets. Although the money exchange system has yet to be opened, many guilds, both large and small, as well as family groups and financial groups have all started making preparations. As soon the money exchange system is opened, it seems that the quiet and peaceful times in this game will be over. Meng Xian, although you were partially forced to make your bed in the virtual reality world, this was the best choice for you. However, after Heart's Dream develops, regardless of how well it goes, would you like to focus on developing in regards to finances or power? With Shao Qi and Su Er leading the way, Ling Chen and Meng Xian walked behind them, following them where they went. On the way, they had never stopped chatting and discussing. Ling Chen felt that it was necessary to understand this girl called Yun Meng Xian, as well as what she was thinking. I don't know yet. Yun Meng Xian shook her head as she replied. However, this was within Ling Chen's expectations. Finances and power were things that were meant to be interrelated. However, right now she had no foundation, and thus would not be able to develop both at the same time. If she chose not to focus on finances, without a substantially large amount of savings, she would not have enough money to expand the guild. However, if she chose not to focus on power, she would not have sufficient ability to back up her finances and financial developments. Ling Chen did not falter, and continued to ask, then, when the money exchange system opens, where will the money to expand the guild come from? Yun Meng Xian paused for a short while, then replied, right now I have 200,000 yuan saved up. Shao Qi and Su Er maybe have some savings from their pocket money, which might amount to about 50,000 to 60,000 yuan. This is all we have. After going against my family, I have not had any financial support. With regards to money, Big Brother Yun Feng definitely will not be able to help me, otherwise I will automatically lose the bet. Chi Chi is not yet 17, and Su Er has not even come of age yet, so they do not have too much money. What the future will bring, we can only find out for ourselves. With less than 300,000 yuan, that would be barely enough to raise a small guild with 100 people. However, that was vastly insufficient to reach the goal in 2 years. For girls, with less than 300,000 yuan. Heart's Dream starting point was even worse off than what Ling Chen had expected. Do you want to hear my suggestion? Ling Chen asked. Yun Meng Xian turned and looked at this mysterious man who she could not see through. She nodded her head, go ahead. How about you let me become the founder of Heart's Dream? Ling Chen said while smiling, there are 2 reasons for this. First, Yun Feng said that you need to develop quietly, in order to avoid the attention of Long Tian Yun. If you become the founder of Heart's Dream, that would be the same as declaring that Heart's Dream belongs to you. No matter how Heart's Dream develops, Long Yun Tian will quickly find out. If I become the founder, it'll help disguise the fact that it's actually your guild. Secondly, my name is already well known by many people, and there are many people who are curious about me. It's possible that if my name is used, within a short period of time, there will be many players who want to join. However, if I found the guild, all of the control and power for Heart's Dream will be given over to me. That means that there will be less security for you. So, whether you accept or reject this proposal is entirely up to you. Listening to Ling Chen's words, Yun Meng Xian was very startled. She did not feel shocked or confused, but rather smiled. However, Ling Chen was not able to see her beautiful smile under the veil. Why would I reject this? Heart's Dream having you as the founder is the best choice. The man standing next to her had, in just a short period of time, made his name resound throughout the whole world. His talent and strength were acknowledged by everyone, and his fame surpassed even the Sword Emperor and Shinigami. He had 2 celestial weapons and 2 extremely strong pets. With this amount of fortune on him, even the Yan-Huang alliance would be envious to the point of drooling. This sort of genius would be welcomed with open arms by guilds such as the Yan-Huang alliance or the Skyfall Dynasty. They would eagerly offer him the best conditions, and would directly accept him as a core guild member, allowing him to enjoy treatment that other people could only dream of. At the same time, he would still be able to develop and train as he liked. However, joining the Heart's Dream, whose future was so uncertain, what could he gain? Not only did he not gain anything, but on the very first day, he had given up so many valuable items. At the same time, he would also have to suffer from the Yan-Huang alliance's oppression and revenge in future. For this sort of person, she simply could not find a reason to distrust and doubt him. He had voluntarily proposed to be the founder of Heart's Dream. Even if Yunmeng Xian was an idiot, she would not think that he had some hidden agenda to take control of a yet-to-be-developed guild with little to no foundation. Instead, she knew that this was so he could carry the guild with his 2 arms. In that case, it's settled. You definitely won't regret giving me your trust. Ling Chen smiled, and continued to walk forwards. Looking at Ling Chen from the back, Yunmeng Xian's eyes started to mist up. Big brother, this person you've introduced to me is the first person I've ever wanted to get to know entirely. Outside Azure Dragon City, LV-11 Red-Tailed Fox Territory, Red-Tailed Fox, Type, Beast, Level, LV-11, HP, 450. A normal fox with a flame red tail. They are naturally very cowardly, and will not take initiative to attack other beings around them. If enraged, they can become very scary. Passive ability, Fire Resistance, 10%, Chaos Resistance, 10% Attack Skills, Leaping Bite, leaps and bites the enemy. If knocked to the ground, the situation will become very dangerous. There are barely any people around here. So lucky. Let's farm here then. The red-tailed fox territory was quite vast, and was large enough for over 10,000 players to farm at the same time. Despite this, most places were completely crowded with players. However, to the east of the red-tailed fox territory, there was a large area where there were only foxes and no players. Xiao Qi, who had been looking for a good farming area for a long time, became as excited as winning the lottery. She excitedly jumped, and took out her weapon, LV-10 copper short staff. Then we'll start here. Big brother Ling Tian, you're already LV-13, so it should be really easy to bully these little foxes. Quickly show us how strong you are. And big sister Meng Xian, you still haven't used that hidden profession class change scroll yet. Quickly use it and show us the power of a hidden profession class. Su'er also took out her weapon, a copper bow. The 2 girls having copper equipment was already enough for most players to become extremely jealous. Ling Chen looked around him. There was already a terrifying number of players in China. During the early game, especially when there was not much difference between the levels of players, the limited number of training grounds were not enough for anyone. Thus, this vast area with no players was very unusual. However, even if there was something wrong with this place, Ling Chen was not someone to be afraid. Alright, let's train here then. This is our first farming session as a guild, so we need to do our best to work efficiently together. Meng Xian, that hidden profession class change scroll doesn't have any special requirements, all you need to do is shatter it in your hands. Yunmeng Xian nodded her head, and took out the Phantasmal Bladedancer class change scroll. She had been resisting the urge to use the scroll as soon as she had received it. Even for a dignified woman like herself, the allure of the hidden profession scroll was almost too much. Gently squeezing with her hand, Yunmeng Xian shattered the class change scroll. The shattered scroll turned into small flecks of light, and entered Yunmeng Xian's body through her hand. As the system sound rang out, Yunmeng Xian's original class disappeared, replaced by the new class. Did it succeed? Did it succeed? Seeing the light from inside Yunmeng Xian's body disappear, Xiao Qi began to excitedly and curiously exclaim. It succeeded, and it's a very powerful class. It's stronger than a normal warrior by a lot. Yunmeng Xian slightly nodded her head. She opened her class stats page, and looked at it in awe with Xiao Qi and the others. Phantasmal Bladedancer, created 600 years ago by the Forgotten Continent's sword expert, Phantasmal Ultimate Blade. The class dual wields 2 swords. The swords can be either one-handed or two-handed. If two swords that are exactly the same are used, the offense power will be greatly increased, resulting in a deadly blade dance with unparalleled power and might. Class bonus stats: Strength plus 10, Constitution plus 5, Agility plus 10, HP plus 200, Hit plus 10, SP plus 50. Class passive ability: User can simultaneously equip two swords of any type. The usage of the two swords will not interfere with each other. The attack power of each hand is determined by the weapon used by the respective hand. When both swords are exactly the same, attack power will be increased by 15%. Some special skills can only be used when both swords are exactly the same. Basic attribute effects: 1 strength equals physical attack plus 2, 1 constitution equals HP plus 10, defense plus 1, 1 agility equals hit plus 1, evasion plus 1, 1 spirit equals magic attack plus 2, mana plus 10. Every time player levels up, HP plus 10, mana plus 10, agility plus 1, and will receive 5 AP. Class skills: Sword proficiency, Agility strengthening, Mirage blade, Peerless jade dance, Ultimate skill, Paragon. Seeing the stats of Yunmeng Xian's new class, the other two girls gave cries of surprise. The Phantasmal Bladedancer was the class that Ling Chen had chosen out of the remaining 10 classes, so even among hidden professions, it was quite powerful. Normally, only a super genius that appeared maybe every 100 years would have the right to change to such a class. So this is a hidden profession. It's simply too monstrous. It's probably stronger than a normal warrior by many, many times. Ah, I want a hidden profession too. Xiao Qi said in shock and admiration. I want one as well. Su'er softly said. She suddenly realized what she had said, her cheeks turning pink. She hurriedly lowered her head, as if she had committed some sort of offense. Ling Chen looked over the stats and skills of the class, and gave a somewhat satisfied nod. Of course, the Phantasmal Bladedancer class was far inferior to the Ling Tian Battle Soul he had almost died trying to get. However, it was still far, far superior to normal classes. This is just the beginning. There aren't many skills yet, but there'll be more in future and the class will become stronger and stronger. Yunmeng Xian nodded her head. She knew that from this moment onwards, she held a significant advantage over other players, and felt that she had taken a step closer to her goal. Moreover, she clearly understood that this powerful class was much stronger than normal hidden professions. Despite this, Ling Tian had casually given her this immensely powerful class change scroll voluntarily. -18180-178183-179182 Big Sister Meng Xian, quickly show us how strong your new class is. Quickly, quickly. Xiao Qi impatiently shouted. Yunmeng Xian stretched out her hands, and two two-handed swords illuminated by a golden-yellow glow appeared in her hands. Being able to use two swords at the same time was already an overpowered ability, because this meant that one person could display the power of two people. With a gentle smile, Yunmeng Xian walked forwards, her body turning. With the two swords, she began a beautiful spinning dance, -18110-178183-179182 The Peerless Jade Dance skill hit 3 red-tailed foxes. On top of the 3 foxes' heads appeared 2 damage numbers. The Phantasmal Bladedancer class not only focused on damage, but also on agility. The 10 agility points gained when changing to the class had granted her 10 hit. Thus, there not a single miss when Yunmeng Xian attacked, something that was inconceivable for the warrior class. Wah! So strong. -152150. One skill had directly reduced the 3 red-tailed foxes' HP to a critical condition. Xiao Qi sighed in admiration. Receiving heavy injuries, the red-tailed foxes showed their cowardly nature, and they chose not to retaliate, instead choosing to run away. Xiao Qi immediately launched a spear of ice and yelled, "My turn." The spear of ice impaled one of the foxes, freezing it and wiping out its remaining HP. Beside Ling Chen, Xue also notched an arrow onto her bow and fired it. She had used a basic archer skill, exploding arrow. As it hit the furthest red-tailed fox, its HP was also reduced to 0, and simultaneously exploded, killing the remaining red-tailed fox as well. Two numbers floated above the two foxes. -152, -150. Ha! Perfect. Wrecking these little foxes is so easy. Xiao Qi gleefully said as she made a victory V sign with her fingers. Our first guild farming session has officially commenced. Ah. That's right, big brother Ling Tian, you haven't shown us your strength yet. Quickly show us how strong you are. After Xiao Qi said this, Xue and Xuanyuan Xue Yi both curiously looked at Ling Chen. This was the first person in the entire world to leave Novice Village, and has 2 celestial-grade weapons. Just how strong was he? Alright. Under the gaze of the 3 girls, Ling Chen suddenly felt that if they could farm and level up together, it would be much more interesting than farming alone. Being able to train with such beauties, no man would be dumb enough to reject it, right? -921185092791911862. As his 2 hands flashed with different colored lights, Soaring Cloud and the Zephyr Blade appeared in his hands. He glanced at where the red-tailed foxes were gathered, and in a few steps, swiftly arrived at the area where there were many of them clustered together. His left hand swung towards the left, and his right hand swung towards the right, making 2 large arcs. 2 Ling Tian bursts flew outwards. Bang, 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 -921185092791911862. The AoE of the Peerless Jade Dance that Xuanyuan Xue Yi had just used was not comparable to the AoE of the Ling Tian burst that Ling Tian had just used, let alone 2 Ling Tian bursts. 9 red-tailed foxes had been hit by the 2 massive arcs of energy, and a wave of damage numbers appeared above their heads. After these numbers had disappeared, the 9 red-tailed foxes that had been happily bouncing around all became corpses. What's more, out of the 9 hits, 3 of them were critical hits. Ling Chen stopped walking and lowered his arms. Behind him, the girls were completely silent. Xiao Qi's eyes and mouth widened. Xue covered her mouth with her hands. Needless to say, her lips were probably parted as well. It was hard to see Xuanyuan Xue Yi's expression under her veil, but her eyes had a hint of shock in them as well. Incredibly high damage figures, and a ridiculously large AoE. With one skill, he had annihilated 9 red-tailed foxes. Every one of the damage figures were at least 5 times greater than Xuanyuan Xue Yi's. What was even more frightening was the speed at which he attacked. His lightning-fast attack was so fast that they had only caught a glimpse of 2 rays of light, and suddenly a wave of damage figures had floated upwards. Heavens! Xiao Qi finally exclaimed, her 2 big eyes became incredibly excited. Xue's hands remained over her lips, her eyes shining as she gently said, so strong. They knew that Ling Chen was very strong, but once Ling Chen had actually attacked, they had become completely mind-blown. No matter if it was the strength of the attack or the speed, it shouldn't be possible to achieve. Even if it was the Sword Emperor or Shinigami, it would still be impossible. And yet, he had executed the skill so flawlessly, his motions as smooth as the flowing water of a stream. If they knew that at his peak strength, he could even hit over 10,000 points of damage, they would go absolutely crazy. Too strong. Way too strong. Impossibly strong. Stronger than my big brother by a lot. Xiao Qi ran in front of Ling Chen, and looked at him with an expression full of admiration. The person she admired and looked up to originally was her big brother Xiao Qiufeng, and this was the first time she had ever said the words, stronger than my big brother. It was clear to see that Ling Chen's attack had deeply impressed her. Ling Chen laughed and said, if your big brother heard this, he'd be quite sad. No way, no way. My big brother isn't such a shallow person, you're so powerful. That attack just then could kill my big brother in one hit, and that AoE, and that speed. Heavens! If it was in close range, no one would be able to dodge it. Are these the two weapons on the equipment rankings? I'm sure they are, even their external appearance looks way different to normal weapons. Just one is super strong, and yet you're using both at once, that's just incredible. Oh. The pets. Quickly show us those two super strong pets, we all really want to see them. I want to see them as well. Xue gently exclaimed as well. Ling Chen was about to answer when he heard the sounds of a group of people approaching from behind him. He shifted his gaze, his smiling face instantly became serious. I'll show you my buddies later. Right now, let's first take care of these people who shouldn't be here. From the west, 30 or so players were aggressively marching towards them. Some held shields, some held bows, some held magic staffs. There were players of all of the different classes, walking towards Ling Chen and his group. These people seem to be coming towards us. Big brother Ling Chen, do you know them? Shao Qi asked. I don't know them, but I guess we're about to get to know each other. Ling Chen calmly said. Ling Chen had already guessed the purpose for which these people were coming here. The three girls were all either wearing masks or veils, so no one could see their true appearances. Otherwise, what had just happened would have turned out completely differently. Xuanyuan Xue Yi slightly frowned and Xue became frightened, taking a step back. Shao Qi's face twisted, evidently very angry. She was the Battle Alliance's princess. Normally, everyone would defer to her and treat her respectfully, and yet these people had dared to curse at her and her friends. Oi! Who are you people? What right do you have to call this your territory? Does this place have your name written on it, or your daddy's name? A group of hooligans wants us to leave. If you want us to leave, you need to have enough power. With Ling Tian beside her, Shao Qi threw caution to the wind and shouted back at them. Seeing Ling Chen massacre the 9 red-tail foxes with just one strike, she was confident that with the same technique, he could easily destroy a group of 30 people as well. The Black-White Guild are direct subsidiary branches of the Yan-Huang Alliance. It is one of the 32 strongest guilds under the Yan-Huang Alliance, and the 2 guildmasters are ranked equal 8th on the Earth rankings, the Black-White Double Demons. No wonder there was no one around here. Looks like this really is their territory, and they had just left for a short while. Xuanyuan Xue Yi quietly said to Ling Chen next to her. Although Shao Qi had just ranted at them, her voice was simply too beautiful and pleasant. No matter how scathing her words were, no one would be able to get angry, especially men. Sure enough, the leader of the group was not angry at all. He flippantly smiled, oh ho! Such a feisty little sister. Hee, with such a nice voice, I'll bet that you look quite nice as well. Well, if you want to train here, that's fine too. Our Black-White Guild likes to protect little sisters. Now, call me Big Brother, and not only will I not chase you away, but I'll help you train. How does that sound? Hee haha, the 30 players in the Black-White Guild all revealed perverted smiles. Shao Qi frowned, becoming truly angry. She was about to start shouting at those people, and then call over the nearby guild members from the Battle Alliance to beat them up. However, before she did so, a shadow stepped out in front of her. Ling Chen raised his arm up in front of her, and said, "This is the first time we've had a farming session together as Heart's Dream. Let's not waste our time by doing unnecessary things. Leave everything to me." Ling Chen slightly nodded his head, then looked at the crowd in front of him. He emotionlessly said, "Is the so-called Yan-Huang Alliance filled with trash like you?" What did you say? The words Ling Chen had spoken caused the smiling leader's face to instantly darken. He squinted at Ling Chen, then started roaring in laughter, ha! This boy wants to look frickin' cool in front of the girls, he's simply gone crazy. Not only badmouthing our Black-White Guild, but the Yan-Huang alliance itself. Ha 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 ha, boy, you're very brave and arrogant. Trying to look cool, huh? After saying this, he paused, then yelled, but next time make sure you try to look cool in front of a suitable opponent. Go, cripple him. Teach him a lesson he'll remember. The 30 players all started shouting and cheering as they charged. Their joyful faces made it seem like they were not going to fight, but rather were going to have some fun. There were 30 of them against 4 people, and 3 of them were lovely girls. They simply didn't take them seriously. The 3 girls lifted up their weapons, seemingly very calm. If Ling Chen had not just displayed his power, they would have panicked and become afraid. 4 people against 30 was usually simply impossible. However, although they were a bit nervous, but they also felt excited at the same time, excited to see Ling Chen show his power like just then, because if he did, then maybe even half of those people would fall from just one strike. What's going on? Yeah. What's going on? Just as the Black-White Guild players started moving, a cold shout, closely followed by another shout, sounded out. These 2 voices caused the entire Black-White Guild to immediately freeze, as if they were paralyzed. They all became very subdued, and looked towards where the voices came from with looks of disbelief. Behind them, 2 men slowly walked over, both dressed as warriors. One was wearing white, one was wearing black. The most surprising thing was that they looked exactly the same. Seeing these 2 people, the leader of the group quickly ran over and greeted them in a humble manner that was extremely well practiced. Greetings, Guild Masters. Why do the Guild Masters have time to come here today? We were all working hard to level up, and definitely did not slack off at all. It's just that there were a few people who came to steal our territory, so we were taking care of it. Please do not worry, we will quickly take care of them and not lose face for the Black-White Guild. The 2 men who looked exactly the same looked close to 30 years old, and were tall and well built. Their looks were quite mediocre, and were the type that could be easily lost in a crowd if one was searching by their face. Their appearance caused Yunmeng Xian's eyebrows to slightly frown. She walked up next to Ling Chen and quietly said, "They're the Guild Masters of the Black-White Guild, the Black-White Double Demons. The elder brother is the Black Demon, and the younger brother is the White Demon. They're ranked equal 8th on the Earth rankings, and are very strong. They are twins, and have a special mental connection. When they fight together, they're even comparable to a Heaven rankings expert. Why would they come here? Humph, we've already leveled up to LV11, and we're preparing to go to a better place to train, and just passed by here." Stealing territory? There are actually people who dare to steal the Black-White Guild's territory? Do they want to die? The Black Demon stared at Ling Chen. Yeah. There are actually people who want to steal our territory? They're looking to die. The White Demon mimicked the Black Demon's gestures, staring straight at Ling Chen. As expected from the Guild Masters. You've already reached LV11. The group leader's face was full of admiration. If he went any further he would be on his knees prostrating himself before the 2 Guild Masters. Looks like after the level rankings are released, the 2 Guild Masters will definitely be one of the top players on there. Humph, that supposedly high-leveled Ling Tian, soon the Guild Masters will catch up to him. Wasting the 2 Guild Masters' precious time is an incredibly onerous sin. We will immediately take care of this. What are you lot waiting around for? Destroy all of them. Wait up. The Black Demon expressionlessly said as he stretched out his hand. Yeah, wait up. The White Demon also hurriedly said. Wait, everyone stop for a moment. The group leader quickly stopped the rest of the players, then respectfully asked, "What are the Guild Master's orders?" The Black Demon said with a carefree tone, "Our Yan-Huang alliance represents the entire country." The young master said that we should never bully others. White Demon, yeah. We should never bully others. yes, yes. We have never forgotten the guild master's orders, and have never bullied anyone. The group leader hurriedly replied. The black demon nodded as he said, you can't blame someone for stealing territory. Originally, this area did not belong to anyone. It belongs to anyone who has the power to take it. White demon, yeah. Territory belongs to anyone who has the power to take it. Black demon, so, same rules. Want to steal territory? That's fine, but you have to beat us first. Otherwise, get the hell out of here and remember whose territory you don't have the right to steal. White demon, big bro's right. Beat us first, otherwise, get the hell out of here, and remember whose territory you don't have the right to steal. The group leader finally understood. After leveling up, the two guild masters didn't have much to do, so they came here to have some fun. He straightened up, and yelled at Ling Chen and his group, Oi, did you hear what our guild masters said? You want to steal our territory, right? Fine, our guild masters are right here. If you can beat them, we'll immediately leave and go somewhere else. However, if you can't, then these girls, we'll have some fun with them. You four can all fight together, but we won't interfere. Ha ha ha. The black-white guild members all started to laugh wildly. Their guild masters were the black-white double demons on the Earth rankings, and were the guild masters of the Yan-Huang Alliance's black-white guild. Wherever they went, people would be scared witless. Facing those four people would be an extremely easy task for them. Ling Chen stood where he was, unmoving. This comical display in front of him almost made him laugh out loud. He waited until they had stopped laughing, then calmly looked at the black-white double demons, and said in a low voice, idiots. Ling Chen's words had the effect similar to kicking a hornet's nest. The group leader started jumping up and down, as if a needle had been stuck into his posterior. What? You dare to insult our guild masters? God damn, you don't want to live, do you? Brothers, attack. The group of players let out a roar and charged towards Ling Chen and his group. With the guild masters watching, it was a great opportunity to make themselves known, and gain a bit of reputation. This time, the black-white double demons did not stop them, and looked at Ling Chen as if he was a dead man. Heaven knows how long it had been since someone had dared to insult them and call them idiots. With a cold laugh, Ling Chen raised his weapons, and was about to rush over. However, he had a sudden premonition, and stopped himself. Whoosh! A gust of fragrance blew over like the wind, and in front of Ling Chen appeared a white silhouette. Her sudden appearance caused the charging black-white guild players to stop and stare at her. They all seemed to fall into a state of stupor, staring at the girl as if their souls had been stolen. All of the players had forgotten what they had been originally doing. The girl who had appeared was wearing a long white dress that covered both her delicate and jade-like legs. Her gleaming and lustrous black hair tumbled down to her shoulders, covering half of her snowy white neck. Her slender figure and slim waist were simply enchanting. Although Ling Chen could only see her from behind, but he was still momentarily stunned. What was remarkable was that her figure and height were comparable to Xuanyuan Xue Yi's. Be beautiful girl. What beautiful girl. This is a goddess, she's so beautiful. I've never seen such a beautiful person before. All eyes were now on this girl. Without noticing it, more than half of all the players started drooling. There were only two people who did not fall under the spell of the girl's alluring looks. The two people said together, Frozen-hearted man-eater. The girl silently stood in front of all the players, her stare as cold as ice. Her demeanor made her seem like an icy and elegant snow lotus. Her lips parted, and coldly said, You want to fight for territory, right? Seeing the girl, Shao Qi and Su'er shouted out in joy, and Xuanyuan Xue Yi's expression calmed down. She said to Ling Chen while smiling, All the members of Heart's Dream have come together. She is the other member. Mu Bing Yao. Ling Chen, mm. She's our super strong big sister Mu. She's very powerful. Even those who are not part of the virtual world have definitely heard of her name. Xiao Qi added, with a big smile on her face. Although this girl rarely appeared in public places, she was still incredibly famous, and had been publicized by various media, as well as the China battle forums. She's the frozen-hearted man-eater. The frozen-hearted man-eater ranked 5th on the heaven rankings. Among the group of Black-White Guild players, some began to shout. Every player on the heaven rankings was a legendary player in the eyes of everyone else. Where they stood could only be admired by the other players from far, far below. They did not even have the right to approach these supreme experts. Every player on the heaven rankings was well known by everyone, and every player on the heaven rankings was someone that should not be angered at all costs. When the words, "Frozen-hearted man-eater," were shouted out, the players of the Black-White Guild were all shocked out of their pleasant daydreams. Facing her icy stare, none of those players dared to reveal any perverted expressions, instead showing expressions of fear and dismay. Heaven rankings Frozen-hearted man-eater Mu Bing Yao. Hearing the name, Frozen-hearted man-eater, had an effect on the group leader similar to a gigantic mountain falling onto his heart. Her beautiful eyes were mesmerizing, yet the coldness that radiated from them tore apart his courage to even look at her. The Black-White Double Demon's sudden change in attitude confirmed that this person in front of him was indeed the frozen-hearted man-eater. Otherwise, the usually perverted and wild Black-White Double Demons would not show such restraint when facing such a beautiful goddess. The group leader took a few steps back, and asked with a tiny and trembling voice, "Guild Masters, this person, what do we do?" Saying that all heaven rankings experts were people who could defeat 100 people by themselves was not an exaggeration at all. In the past, when the Huang Alliance and Skyfall Dynasty engaged in a battle, the Sword Emperor had charged into the Skyfall Dynasty's 10,000-man army 3 times, and had come charging out 3 times. For the grand finale, he had rushed through the back of the Skyfall Dynasty army, slaughtering his way to the Skyfall Dynasty's chief commander, killing him and causing the entire Skyfall Dynasty's army to fall into chaos. The Sword Emperor's deeds were all incredible and almost unbelievable, like stories of myths and legends. The third-ranked player on the heaven rankings of the Skyfall Dynasty was also incredibly powerful. As a summoner, he had once summoned hundreds of emissaries of hell, single-handedly stopping an army of 1,000 people. The Black-White Guild had 30 people on their side, but to a heaven rankings expert, that number was only enough to get warmed up. The Black-White Double Demons looked at each other, then walked up to Mu Bing Yao. The Black Demon had a big smile on his face as he said, "Today we are incredibly lucky and honored to be able to meet the famous frozen-hearted man-eater." The White Demon chimed, "Yes, so lucky to meet the famous frozen-hearted man-eater." The Black Demon continued, "The Alliance Master told us that if we had the chance to meet the frozen-hearted man-eater, we were to humbly request that you join our alliance. If we had the honor of having you join us, we'll guarantee that you will be a core member of the Huang Alliance, and will be the leader of all assassins." They actually had the audacity to try to steal Heartstream's guild member in front of the whole guild. The initial offer of being a core member was already incredibly tempting, and in addition, the leader of the Huang Alliance's assassins. Given the size of the Huang Alliance, there would be at least millions of assassins. Being in charge of 1 million assassins, that position was one of immense power and glory. In stark comparison, Heartstream was simply too small and pitiful. Before Ling Chen had joined, these girls' pride and joy, as well as source of hope, was Mu Bing Yao. Because she was a super expert ranked 5th on the heaven rankings, as soon as the news that Mu Bing Yao had joined a guild called Heartstream, people would flock to join. They simply couldn't bear someone like this being stolen away from them. After listening for a short while, Xiao Qi simply couldn't endure anymore, and was about to step up and curse at the Black-White Double Demons for being so shameless. However, before she had the opportunity to do so, Mu Bing Yao rudely cut them off, coldly saying, "No need to waste your breath. Weren't we fighting for territory? 1v1 or group battle, your choice." "No, no." The black demon hurriedly waved his hands. "There is no enmity between us, and the Alliance Master already told us that if we were to meet the frozen-hearted man-eater, we must act with courtesy. Just then, our dispute was with the people behind you. We have absolutely no intention of going against you." "Yeah. Our dispute was with the people behind you. We have absolutely no intention of going against you." Even if the black-white double demons were not afraid of Mu Bing Yao's personal power, they still would not dare to attack her. What they had said about the guild master Long Yun Tian of the Yen Huang alliance telling them to treat her with courtesy was absolutely true. No matter what Long Yun Tian's true intentions were, he was at least perfectly protecting the Yen Huang alliance's reputation and fame. Not allowing players of the alliance to use power to bully people, not allowing players to do things that would bring shame to the alliance, and especially not allowing them to anger experts, especially those on the heaven and earth rankings. As such, the Yen Huang alliance's reputation has always been quite good. Otherwise, if they provoked the entire player base, they would have to endure very harsh consequences. Moreover, it was because of its extremely good reputation that the Yen Huang alliance could develop so quickly, growing by leaps and bounds every year. The black demon amicably said, "Since it's like this, then we'll give the frozen-hearted man-eater some face." However, a troubled look appeared on the black demon's face. "To be fair, it was your friends who wanted to steal our territory first. All we were doing was following the standard custom. If we gave away territory just like that, I'm afraid it would damage the reputation of the Black-White Guild and Yen Huang Alliance. However, facing against the frozen-hearted man-eater is something that we would never dare to do, so we're a bit stuck here." The black demon looked towards Ling Chen, and his eyes quickly flashed with a hint of viciousness. "Let's each send one player out to 1v1. Whichever player wins, the territory will belong to their side. How does that sound?" From the moment the black demon had looked towards him, Ling Chen knew what he was up to. Before Mu Bing Yao had the chance to reply, Ling Chen answered, "Not bad, not bad, this suggestion is very good. Then, who will you choose to send?" "Very easy. Both sides can choose who they want to send, but us two brothers won't fight. But you, the guy over there, do you really dare to just cower behind the girls?" Talking to Ling Chen, his tone was devoid of the respect and courtesy he had shown Mu Bing Yao. He turned his head, and said to the group leader, "Savage Wolf, you go." The black demon's aim was very obvious. As the other side only had one male, if Ling Chen did not step up, he would be ridiculed as a coward. The player called Savage Wolf immediately stood up, and revealed his weapon, a gleaming dagger, and made taunting gesture towards Ling Chen. Although they were not willing to offend Mu Bing Yao, but they did not hold themselves back if it was anyone else. 201. Mu Bing Yao turned around and looked at Ling Chen. When she saw Savage Wolf making the taunting gesture, her eyes flashed with killing intent. "You don't even have the right for him to attack." Emanating killing intent, Mu Bing Yao caused the nearby Black-White Guild members to break into cold sweat. Mu Bing Yao dashed forwards, and turned into a white blur as she flew towards the assassin called Savage Wolf. Before he even had the chance to react, a bright line appeared on his neck. -201. Savage Wolf never expected that Mu Bing Yao would attack a small fry like himself. Under the might of a heaven-ranking expert, he did not even dare think about retaliating. He subconsciously retreated as fast as he could. However, apart from seeing a white blur, he was not able to see what had just happened. The light that had just swept across his body swept back in the opposite direction, accurately cutting across the exact same area. Having the exact same starting ground as everyone else, as well not enough time to become too much stronger than other players, Mu Bing Yao's attack power was only slightly higher than most other assassins. However, the two explosive and incredibly fast attacks that she had just pulled off were definitely not things that normal players could achieve. Assassins were not very tanky classes. After taking 2 hits from Mu Bing Yao, Savage Wolf's HP had been reduced to 0, and fell to the ground. After his body disappeared, a few potions and the iron dagger remained on the ground. Wah! Big Sister Mu is so strong. Xiao Qi excitedly clapped her hands together. Suer's face also revealed a look of respect and admiration. However, Yunmeng Xin slightly frowned. The Mu Bing Yao she knew would not deign to attack such a small fry, but what she had just seen was a sudden flare of anger, accompanied by the phrase, "You don't even have the right for him to attack." Could it be that she knew Ling Tian? White Demon, yeah. Hurry up and piss off. If you see them in future, make sure you treat them with respect, got it? Yes, yes. Seeing the guild masters so angry, the guild members could only agree and lower their heads. They bitterly regretted their actions from before. If they hadn't left for a short while, those people would not have come here to fight for the territory, and so they would not have had such rotten luck to meet the frozen-hearted man-eater. However, given the fame and power of the frozen-hearted man-eater, they did not feel too ashamed. Let's go. Wherever the black-white double demons went, they would be viewed with respect and awe. The black demon held in his anger, and walked towards Ling Chen and his group with the white demon trailing behind him. Evidently, having reached LV-11, they were preparing to go deeper into the wilderness to train. Walking past Ling Chen, the black demon smiled mockingly at Ling Chen and raised the middle finger of his right hand towards him, saying in a low voice, "Trash that hides behind women." Yeah, trash that hides behind women. The white demon copied the black demon's gesture, and raised his middle finger towards Ling Chen. The moment they spoke, they suddenly felt an incomparable chill of coldness. Behind them came a wave of killing intent. Looking to die. The Mu Bing Yao who had just calmed down reacted as if they had committed some grave offense, her eyes radiating dark and cold killing intent. Killing intent was something that could not be smelt, tasted or physically touched. It was something that normal people only read about in novels, and assumed only existed in fiction. However, the killing intent that was felt by the black-white double demons felt like a steel knife on their necks, and a wave of terror spread along their bodies. They turned around, and saw a white blur with a cold light coming rapidly towards them. By the time they had registered what was happening, the figure was only centimeters away from them. Mu Bing Yao only had one weapon, but the black-white double demons both felt themselves targeted by her. To rank as the number 2 assassin in all of China, the frozen-hearted man-eater's attack power was incredibly frightening. In all of China, not many people could directly evade or resist this strike, let alone the black-white double demons who were not prepared at all. Despite their shock, they still reacted quickly, jumping to the left and right respectively. They simultaneously took out their weapons, which were both exactly the same copper-grade swords. However, it was not so easy to dodge the frozen-hearted man-eater's attacks. When attacking, the frozen-hearted man-eater had already predicted that they would each dodge towards different directions. When the black-white double demons had moved, her attacking right hand slightly shifted, slicing towards the white demon's neck. 182. The black-white double demons used all of their points to raise their attack power, and thus had low defense and HP. This one attack had reduced the white demon's HP by almost half. The white demon's body tilted, almost losing his balance. The black-white double demons rapidly retreated, trying to get as far as possible away from Mu Bing Yao. This was the first time they had been attacked by the frozen-hearted man-eater, and felt indescribable shock and terror. How terrifying the frozen-hearted man-eater was only known by those fortunate enough to die by her hands. The heaven rankings and earth rankings were not 2 rankings that could be compared, instead, they were on 2 completely different levels. Those who were able to get into the heaven rankings were true monsters. Being attacked by the inhumanly strong 5th-ranked player on the heaven rankings, these 2 earth rankings experts vividly felt the god of death standing right behind them. Frozen-hearted man-eater. What is the meaning of this? We've already given you so much face, so what do you want? The black demon roared as he continued to retreat. I want you to die. Mu Bing Yao's reply was only a short sentence, and her body once again turned into a white blur, charging towards the white demon. What's going on with Big Sister Mu? Why is she so angry? Does she have some sort of grudge with the black-white double demons? Shao Qi asked while covering her mouth, in an excited and bewildered tone. Yunmeng Xian looked at Ling Chen, and thought back to the gestures and words the black-white demons had made and said to him. Ling Chen glanced at Mu Bing Yao, then said in a quiet voice, we're all guildmates, so we shouldn't let her fight by herself. Su, shoot an exploding arrow a bit further than where the guy wearing white is. Chi, use your ice blast, you don't have to be too accurate, as long as it's close to them. Got it. Being able to enter the Earth rankings, the black-white double demons definitely were not ordinary people. Although right now they were frantically retreating, it was mainly because of Mu Bing Yao's sudden attack. If they were allowed to recover and counterattack, Mu Bing Yao would have to expend quite a bit of effort in order to kill them. Yunmeng Xian had also mentioned before, being twins, they had a special mental connection. If they worked together, it was even possible for them to defeat Heaven Rankings experts. Su'er immediately drew her bow. She quickly took aim, and her little hands released an exploding arrow which flew towards the white demon. Mu Bing Yao immediately sensed an arrow approaching from behind, and quickly determined that it would not hit her. As such, she took no notice of it, and rushed ahead, targeting the white demon. After frantically retreating, the white demon ignored the attacking Mu Bing Yao, and raised the sword in his hand. He prepared to use the warrior class beginner attack skill, Heroic Strike, but before he even began to execute the skill, Mu Bing Yao had already disappeared. The white demon's mind reeled, and his actions also momentarily stopped. In the next moment, Mu Bing Yao reappeared, the dagger in her hand already incredibly close to his chest. Having just changed class to assassin, her assassin class stealth technique was still at the lowest rank, and was not usable for very long. Although she could only use it for half a second, and could not even change her attacking position in that extremely short period of time, she had successfully caused the white demon to momentarily pause. 1 moment was enough time for an expert like the frozen-hearted man-eater to plunge her dagger into the white demon's chest. 179. 158160. -179. After being hit for the first time, the white demon had hurriedly used a HP potion, raising his HP back to full HP. This second strike caused him to lose almost half of his HP again. As HP potions had a cooldown of 5 seconds, he could only pray that he had enough time to use another one. However, 2 rays of light streaked towards him from his side. Under normal conditions, the white demon would have been able to easily dodge them, but facing Mu Bing Yao, he did not dare to take his focus off her. Only until he heard the whistle of the 2 projectiles did he sense the danger, by which time it was already too late. He was simultaneously pierced by an arrow and a spear of ice. -158, -160. The white demon's HP was immediately reduced to 0, and his corpse fell to the ground. The powerful white demon of the black-white double demons had been executed without even striking back once. Little brother. Second Guild Master. The black demon and the rest of the black-white guild members roared in shock. White demon being killed in the wilderness was something that had not happened in many, many years. Just this was enough to send the black-white guild into chaos. Wah! I actually killed one of the black-white double demons. Seeing the white demon fall from her ice spear, Shao Qi's eyes widened, her excitement showing in her bright and starry eyes. She had actually defeated an expert on the Earth rankings. This was something worth bragging to big brother Shao Qiu Feng about. The black demon who was left was not even worth looking at. The moment he had let out that shout, Mu Bing Yao's body had moved as fast as lightning to his side, and slashed at his throat. In the real world, slashing one's throat meant instant death, but in Mystic Moon, there were no such things as weak areas on the body, on critical hits. As such, whether the area of the body hit was the neck or a finger, the damage would be the same. However, Mu Bing Yao's attacks had always targeted the neck, as if she was killing them in real life. Perhaps this was something she had long become accustomed to. Mu Bing Yao's body became like a phantom, fiercely and rapidly attacking the black demon. Every time she attacked, she was guaranteed to hit him. After 3 lightning-fast attacks, the black demon also fell to the ground. Mu Bing Yao's dress was not very tight around her, and it fluttered in the breeze as she attacked. However, from the beginning, not even a corner of her dress touched the black-white double demons. Whoa! Big Sister Mu is so strong. Too strong. I worship you to death. Wah 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 wah. Shao Qi yelled as she clapped her hands. Suer's eyes glittered, and were also filled with admiration towards the Mu Bing Yao who had killed the black demon within seconds. In the blink of an eye, before the rest of the Black-White Guild had even reacted to what was going on, the Black-White double demons had already been eliminated by Mu Bing Yao. Seeing this girl who was extremely beautiful, yet filled with killing intent and had eyes that were incredibly cold, the Black-White Guild members began to tremble, their teeth chattering. Normally, the phrase they always yelled was, "Our guild masters are invincible," and had boasted that their guild masters were on the earth rankings. However, right in front of their eyes, the 2 guild masters had been easily and efficiently dispatched, almost without any resistance at all. Earth rankings experts, in front of heaven rankings experts, were almost nothing. No. It wasn't that their guild masters were too weak, but that the frozen-hearted man-eater, China's second-ranked assassin, was simply frighteningly powerful. 2 guild masters had died in the hands of Mu Bing Yao. The remaining players of the Black-White Guild froze on the spot, their hearts trembling in fear, with absolutely no clue of what to do next. Still unable to gather up his courage to charge in, the group leader gritted his teeth again. His only option was to bite the bullet and yell, "You! How dare you kill our guild masters? This isn't over yet. You have offended the Yan-Huang alliance. Even if you have an expert on the heaven rankings, we will still retreat. We will come back and return and this favor." Even after shouting so fiercely, his stand-up ended with an order to retreat. And in a single moment the place was cleared, spotless, and not a single person left standing in sight. What a joke. 2 guild masters, both 8th in the earth rankings, instantly killed. Even if their guild had sent over 30 people against them, charging in would not have been any different from suicide. Ha! 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 Hurry up and run with your tails between with your legs. Better be careful and run faster or else our big sister Mu will catch up to you. Shao Qi mocked, sticking out her tongue towards them. Without having said another word, the bodies of the Black-White double demons disappeared in place. As experts in the earth rankings, it would have been a devastating blow to their image and reputation if news of their shameful deaths were to start spreading. A fight that was supposed to be epic, legendary, even, was immediately turned on its head to become something completely different after the appearance of Mu Bing Yao, who used an unprecedented method to end the fight at a moment's notice. After the Black-White Guild left, the 3 girls immediately gathered beside Mu Bing Yao. "Luckily you came this time, Big Sister Mu," Yun Meng said happily. As expected of Big Sister Mu, to be so strong, it's no wonder that even Big Brother is so, by you. Shao Qi said smiling. She had to look up at Mu Bing Yao while she talked, as Mu Bing Yao was quite tall. "Hello Big Sister Mu." Suer greeted. However, her voice was too soft and delicate that it was overthrown by Xia Qi's voice. "Oh yeah, Big Sister Mu, I haven't introduced you yet. This is the person we talked of before, the last member of Heart's Dream." Filled with both excitement and mystery, Shao Qi dragged Ling Chen before Mu Bing Yao. "Wanna guess who he is? You guys might just get a fright if I tell you who he is." Yun Meng's eyes looked across the faces of Ling Chen and Mu Bing Yao, and said with a smile, "Big Sister Mu, you guys know each other, right?" "What?" Shao Qi and Su Er exclaimed as they quickly fell into a frozen silence. Ling Chen's eyes were focused on Mu Bing Yao, admiring. She bore a tall stature that most women would not normally have, and it seemed difficult to grasp her exact age, probably at least 25 or 26 years old, but at the same time it didn't seem like she was even at the age of 20. Having her and Yun Meng Xian standing next to each other was like basking in a dazzling, beautiful scenery, one as elegant as a celestial and the other like a cold lotus. With a view like that, one can't help but praise the miraculous powers of the Creator, yet at the same time lament his favoritism. In contrast, Mu Bing Yao, with her usual cool disposition and frozen heart, would not normally display any kind of reaction, even with Ling Chen's intense gazing. But this time, things were different. Her face faintly revealed something unnatural, her eyes appeared erratic as if she wanted to come into Ling Chen's line of sight, but was hesitant and scared to do so. This time, Su Er and Xia Qi could pick up the hints, and with a weird look on her face, Shao Qi said, "Big Sister Mu, you don't really know him, do you? Then again, when you suddenly got angry before, it seemed like it was because the black-white double demons insulted him." "Yes, we do know each other, in fact we have known each other for a long time. Isn't that right, Bing Yao?" Ling Chen replied for Mu Bing Yao. A plain and simple answer. Mu Bing Yao also faintly nodded in confirmation, returning to her usual calm personality. So you really do know each other? Ling Tian brother, did you join our heart's dream because of Big Sister Mu? One of the reasons, yes. Ling Chen answered slowly. What Shao Qi said was indeed very close to the truth, except it was the other way around. Yes, Xia Qi's eyes suddenly lit up. A bold and stimulating idea made her almost jump in excitement. Big brother Ling Tian, could it be, Ling Chen, what? Could it be that you are Big Sister Mu's boyfriend? Yun Meng Xian, Su Er. Mu Bing Yao, Ling Chen, email protected, #Yuan%. Both Ling Chen and Mu Bing Yao stood there in shock. There was no denial. Shao Qi, extremely pleased with her accurate deduction, exclaimed, "Ha! I knew it. I guessed right. Wow. Qi, am so smart. Why do you think I am her boyfriend?" Ling Chen stuttered as he wiped the sweat off his forehead. Shao Qi's mouth arched into an even bigger smile as she confidently said, "Well, isn't it simple? The Big Sister Mu who wouldn't even give a guy another look actually became so angry when those two, the black-white double demons, insulted you. Of course, it could only be her favorite person for her to have become so angry. And there's more. When you were staring at Mu's sister just then, she seemed a bit off. This is obviously because she becomes very shy when the person she likes stares at her so intensely. Also, anyone worthy of the beautiful and strong Mu's sister must be even stronger himself. Big brother Ling Tian, you are quite the powerful one yourself, you shouldn't have any trouble winning against Big Sister Mu. With all these reasons here, not even you could muster enough shame to deny it. Mu Bing Yao. Ling Chen knocked on his forehead and with a face full of innocence, and looked at Mu Bing Yao. What Qi has said is just too true. Bing Yao, even I'm starting to wonder if I am in actual fact your boyfriend. Oh, how about the two of us just become? Mu Bing Yao's eyes flickered rapidly a couple of times and before Ling Chen could finish his sentence she quickly said two very cold words, "We're not." No? But, Shao Qi, however unconvinced, believed in Mu Bing Yao's words. Then what kind of relationship does Big Sister Mu and Big Brother Ling Tian have? Just good friends? Mu Bing Yao, no. Not even a friend? Then what kind of relationship is it? I won't believe that you guys are just people who don't really know each other. Big sister Mu clearly just had a terrible temper because of Ling Tian brother. Okay, that's enough. There's no need to be in such a rush to know everything, you'll slowly learn of these things in the future. Seeing as Mu Bing Yao didn't seem to want to talk about her relationship between herself and Ling Tian, Yunmeng Xian promptly diffused Shao Qi's curiosity and said anxiously, somehow, we've managed to kill the black-white double demons. But in accordance to how the Yan-Huang alliance works, if they have been wronged, they will seek out the perpetrators and enact revenge several times over. If we continue to stay here, it won't be long until the Black-White Guild gathers enough manpower to enact that revenge. So let's get out of here first. Despite having killed the Black-White double demons and scaring off the 30 or so players of their guild, to Heart's Dream, this was definitely not a good thing, especially for a guild that had yet to be established and developed. And to have already made such a formidable enemy, if this conflict were to escalate and accidentally reach the ears of Long Tianyun, they would definitely be in big trouble. With Yunmeng Xian's slight reminder, Su'er and Shao Qi immediately understood the immense severity of the situation. They currently relied on Mu Bing Yao's powers to kill the black-white double demons. It was revealed that the black-white double demons carried the trait of a vindictive character, meaning that they would definitely remember this. Heart's Dream were able to triumph against the Black-White Guild this time, but with over thousands of players belonging to the guild, the troubles facing Heart's Dream grew larger than they could currently manage. But this is the best place to farm and level, and we were finally able to get it. It'll be a shame if we leave now, Shao Qi said anxiously, but then her eyes suddenly lit up. How about I get my older brother over here? With him here we would have nothing to be afraid of, even if the entire Black-White Guild were to come back. Your brother's battle alliance is also a part of the Yan-Huang alliance. If you bring him into this mess, you'll only complicate matters further, Yunmeng Xian said as she shook her head. Meng Xian is right, we shouldn't stay here any longer. Let's go, I'll take you guys to somewhere safe. Ling Chen said as he mysteriously smiled. What? What kind of place it? Is it suitable for party leveling? Su and I are nearly LV-15. We're so close to being able to use our gold equipment. You'll see when you get there. Ling Chen led the four girls eastwards, walking towards the deeper parts of the plains filled with higher-level monsters. Those who entered Dragon City were usually players at around LV-10, and were only able to handle the monsters in the plain regions close by. However, Ling Chen led the girls to a part of the plains where no players could be seen at all. Level 15 Red-Eyed Lizard Territory. Seeing the ground crawling with the many large lizards, the Ling Chen who had killed countless of their kind felt somewhat guilty. Yep, this is the place, said Ling Chen. Here? But the monsters here are LV-15, Su, Meng Xian, and I probably won't be able to kill them. Shao Qi said weakly. Su'er immediately nodded in agreement. Yunmeng Xian, Shao Qi, Su'er, as well as Mu Bing Yao were all only LV-10 right now. Because of the level difference, the damage they dealt to the red-eyed lizards was greatly decreased. Even if they could barely survive, training on such monsters was extremely dangerous and costly. The efficiency of training was also decreased. Ling Chen scanned the area, making sure no other players were around and said calmly, "Don't worry, the monsters here are not scary at all. See, the thing about training is that sometimes you don't need to do it yourself, and the efficiency will be greater." What do you mean? Oh, I know. Big brother Ling Tian, are you going to kill these monsters by yourself and just allow us four girls to follow you? Ling Chen. Ling Chen had nothing to say towards Shao Qi's comment. He moved his hands and said lightly, "Shi Ling, Xiao Hui, I'll leave this up to you guys." Upon his call, Xiao Hui and Shi Ling were summoned at the same time. This was also the first time he had summoned his two pets in front of others. He knew that Xiao Hui and Shi Ling were both strong, and if other players found out about their stats, it would cause a great commotion. However, with 4 girls by his side, and having only met 3 of them for the first time, he summoned them nonetheless. It was not because he was overly careless, but because he was confident in his judgment. Shi Ling's cry pierced the sky as she spread out her red wings. Shi Ling's body, gorgeous beyond description, appeared in a flaming wave. It circled around Ling Chen a few times then flew towards the red-eyed lizard pack. As it flew, its body shimmered in a combination of red and gold. As expected, Shi Ling's appearance made the 4 girls stare in disbelief and amazement. They kept their eyes on Shi Ling, not even blinking. So beautiful. Wow! Such a beautiful bird. Its feathers are like fire and it's beautiful beyond belief. Is that Big Brother Ling Tian's pet? Because of Crimson Spirit's magnificent appearance, the 4 girls completely ignored Xiao Hui who was beside Ling Chen's side. Ling Chen looked at the girls, yawned, walked a few steps and found a suitable spot to lie down on the soft grass patch. He closed his eyes and prepared himself for a comfortable nap, saying, "All right babes, I'm going to sleep for a bit, you girls wake me up after an hour." The 4 girls snapped back to reality and looked in disbelief at Ling Tian who dared to sleep in the monster's territory. Xiao Qi hurried in front of him and said, "Oi oi, Big Brother Ling Tian, this is the territory of LV-15 monsters, why are you sleeping?" Xiao Qi looked behind her, the next second, her mouth formed an O shape. Flying to the sky above red-eyed lizards, Shi Ling's wings flapped and waves of red flame appeared from its 2 wings. The flames scattered down in a 15-meter radius. The ground and the 20-something red-eyed lizards were all covered in flames. -6,000, -6,000, -6,000, -6,000, -6,000, -6,000. The attack caused big numbers that the girls had never seen before to fill up the ground of flames. They all looked in disbelief and could not process what their eyes were seeing. Ding. Your pet, Crimson Spirit has leveled up, now LV1, HP plus 40, MP plus 1000, physical attack power plus 10, magic attack power plus 300 inch. Red-eyed lizards had fire resistance, but under Shi Ling's rootless fire, their resistances were little to nothing. Under Wild Flame's powerful attack, 20 or so red-eyed lizards became dead lizards, coincidentally allowing Shi Ling to level up. Ling Chen opened his eyes slightly and looked at the flames that had yet to disappear. When he saw Shi Ling's overall stats from before, he knew that although he had the Heaven's Jealousy debuff, even if he didn't train at all, he would still be able to level up faster than any other players. Because of Shi Ling's scary attacks and area of effect skills, it made leveling up seem like child's play. When it flapped its wings, and flames came scattering down, no monsters would be able to survive. Even though Shi Ling was only LV1, her powers were strong enough to even take down level 30 monsters with no problem. The experience gain would be higher, making the leveling speed faster. However, the reason why he did not do this, only he himself knew. Shi Ling was too overpowered. This was something that crossed his mind when Ling Chen first obtained Shi Ling. If its HP was equivalent of Xiao Hui's, it would no longer be a problem of being overpowered anymore, it would just be a big bug. Shi Ling's attack left the 4 girls speechless. Seeing so many corpses, Xiao Hui ran up like lightning and began swallowing. He spat out a few elementary strength crystals and brought them, as well as other items, quickly to Ling Chen's backpack. The 30-meter radius was completely decimated by Shi Ling. She flew towards another area where red-eyed lizards were grouped closely together and unleashed another wave of wild flames. In the flaming fire, another pack of red-eyed lizards was destroyed without a chance of retaliation. Red-eyed lizards were unable to fly and could not attack vertically, so they couldn't touch Shi Ling no matter how hard they tried. Shi Ling was able to completely wipe them out without any potential danger or threat. Wildfire had a cooldown of 5 seconds. In these 5 seconds Shi Ling was still busy, flying down and using normal fire attacks to burn small groups of red-eyed lizards to death. Its normal fire attacks all had an area of effect, and were able to deal up to 3,000 damage, making the lizards not stand a chance. Waves of dying lizards, LV-15 monsters, were so powerless under Xi Ling's attacks that they were no different to ants. Even the occasional elite lizards didn't stand a chance. The 4 girls' EXP bars quickly filled up. The EXP shared between the 5 people and 1 pet still caused their EXP bars to grow at an extremely fast pace. Xi Ling flew in the sky while Xiao Hui ran around on the ground, working tirelessly, and unceasingly running. The money, potions, crystals and other miscellaneous items were all picked up with the same efficiency, keeping up with Xi Ling, so these 2 are his pets. One is celestial grade and the other is heaven's end grade. That bird is so beautiful, it's so obscenely strong. This is heaven's end grade, how can it be, my goodness, in CRD, bleak, 6,000 damage, and it even had a massive area of effect. If this sort of attack was unleashed by a high-level boss it would be understandable. But a player's pet with this attack. At the current average levels of players, this was completely beyond their belief. They had heard about Heaven's End grade, in a forgotten virtual game. This type of Heaven's End grade pet had appeared before, but never as powerful as this one. Even the usually calm Xuanyuan Xue Yi was completely in shock. She looked at Ling Chen who was still sleeping peacefully and came to realization. The level of the pet cannot surpass the master's level, this was basic game knowledge. In other words, Xi Ling's level could not be higher level 13 but already possessed so much power. If this was seen by the other players and word got around, then the people who were capable would do everything in their power to get their hands on this Heaven's End grade pet. With the power of this pet, anyone, even an idiot could become one of the strongest in this world. Such a high damage area of effect skill, even if the top elite players worked together, they would still be burned into ashes. Ling Tian, where did he get such a broken pet? Why would Mystic Moon allow such an overpowered pet to appear in the early stages of the game? In a short amount of time, the territory that was filled with red-eyed lizards was now completely empty. The group had also gained a considerable amount of experience. Xuanyuan Xue Yi calmed herself down and says calmly, "Big sister Mu, Chi Chi, Su Su, ah." The 3 other girls turned to her, still mesmerized. Xuanyuan Xue Yi suddenly became serious and said slowly, "What you just saw, do not mention it to anyone. Even the people you trust the most, no matter what, understand." Not needing any explanation, Mu Bing Yao, Xiao Qi, Su Er, all nodded in agreement. The reason was too obvious, such a strong pet could cause anyone to have a strong desire to obtain it. If what happened today was spread, it would bring endless problems to not only Ling Chen but also to the whole of Heart's Dream. Ling Chen was still completely relaxed. This is the first time he enjoyed the comfort of the fresh winds on the field. He closed his eyes and went back to sleep. Beside him were the sounds of the girls' gentle, delicate and refreshing voices. Xi Ling's flame attacks are extremely powerful, however, this is balanced by relatively high mana costs. Using wild flames once costs 300 mana, but she also has the ability to regenerate 1% of her mana per second. Having more than 10,000 mana at level 0, she should be able to recover it quickly after using it. In the morning, Xi Ling and Xiao Hui wreaked havoc in the red-eye lizard's territory, turning the area into an absolute nightmare for them. These low-level flame creatures would have never expected to be burnt to ashes at the hands of the strongest flame beast. Xi Ling would always fly near to Ling Chen, maintaining her distance so as to not scare away any newly spawned lizards. Being newly spawned, they were inexperienced in battle and were easily killed, so Ling Chen and the 4 girls' EXP quickly grew. Just like that, the morning passed, and it wasn't until noon that Ling Chen finally opened his eyes. He yawned, and took a look at his EXP. After one morning, his level 13 EXP bar had increased to nearly 20%. The efficiency was impressive, considering that he had gained this amount while asleep. If he wasn't sharing EXP with Yunmeng Xian, he would be close to level 14. Other players would need to hunt the same monster for half a day, but Xi Ling was able to wipe out large areas with a simple flap of her wings. It was almost frightening how quickly they were able to train. Looking at Xiao Hui and Xi Ling's grades, he came to a depressing realization. Xiao Hui had already reached level 13, and was now on par with him, and Xi Ling was already level 7, with 5,100 magic attack and able to deal over 10,000 damage using wildfire. This strength, it couldn't be normal. Babes, how are the returns? Ling Chen stood up, stretching. The pillowy grass fresh air induced in him the urge to lie down and fall asleep. Originally, Ming Xian had told him jokingly to take a nap, but he didn't think that he actually would. After calling for him, but to no response, they were amused but stayed silent about it. Eventually they stopped bothering him and sat on the grass, talking excitedly amongst themselves as the morning passed quickly. Hey! Finally awake. Just talking about sleep made you sleep, and you even slept for so long. Aren't you afraid of being bitten to death? Seeing him awake, Xiaoqi made a face, then gently stood up from the grass, skipping towards Ling Chen. Ling Tian, you haven't introduced us to your pet. What's that beautiful bird called? It's so powerful, it's almost scary. It's called Xi Ling. Ling Chen responded. Xi Ling, that's a nice sounding name, where did you find it? It's far too strong. That's a secret. It's called Xiao Hui, but it's not a dog, Ling Chen said. He said this because when he first saw Xiao Hui, he had thought it was a dog too. It's obviously a dog. Xiao Hui, this name is pretty nice too. Look at the way it runs, it's so good, but it runs so fast. There are so many times where I wanted to run up and hug it, but it ran far away from me. That's not it. Xiao Hui's movement speed is as high as 300, if you were able to catch it that would be truly strange, Ling Chen muttered under his breath. We've all reached level 11, each of us also got 20 SP. Yunmeng Xian walked over, speaking to Ling Chen. Without actually doing anything, they quickly reached level 11, and even gaining 20 SP in the process, which was an important asset. Ling Chen's SP had also increased by 24, these definitely came from Xi Ling killing elite red lizards. Ling Chen nodded his head, then raised his head, and called out, Xi Ling, Xiao Hui, come back. Yet another vast area of red-eyed lizards had been incinerated by Xi Ling, in a single morning. Its mana was almost always full, after all, wildfire cost the least mana next to its basic fire attack. Answering to Ling Chen's call, it and Xiao Hui quickly returned, and were transported back to the pet dimension. It's already noon, everyone rest for a while then we'll go have lunch. Especially Meng Xian, don't push yourself too hard, life is wonderful, there are lots of things to enjoy. Moreover, Heart's dream isn't only made up of you, there's also Chi Chi, Su Su, and I. Even though it's only the beginning, we don't even have a single real member, but you have to believe in yourself and us. Yunmeng Xian had been pushing herself really hard, this is what Yun Feng had told him and he could see it in her level. Perhaps under the influence of Shui Rua, he could see the heavy burdens of these girls. Yunmeng Xian was startled, her eyes darting around. She lightly nodded, oh, all right. Then, we'll continue in the afternoon. At 1 p.m., we'll come back here, Ling Chen finished speaking, and waving at the girls, he logged off, not giving them a chance to speak. Hey, Ling Tian, he left in such a hurry, there were still things I wanted to ask him. Xiao Qi subconsciously reached out to catch him, but only grabbed onto air, stamping her foot in frustration. Just in one morning, Ling Chen had brought out so much of her curiosity. Other than his strong sense of knowledge, name, background and history, she knew nothing about him, not even his appearance. I'm going as well, see you in the afternoon. Mu Bing Yao nodded at him, and logged off. No matter who she was facing, her face was that of complete indifference. It was hard to find any sense of a human being beneath her eyes. A new red-eyed lizard appeared, and Yun Meng Xian had to immediately move to the edge of the safety zone. You guys tell me, what on earth was Ling Chen talking about? Shao Qi looked around at the red-eyed lizards that were crawling around. Some of them responded in a daze. He's so strong, but I've never heard his name before. Has he never played a virtual game before? Was he stronger than the Emperor? Someone so strong, why would he join our heart's dream? This is even stranger than when Big Sister Mu decided to join us. Initially, when Yun Meng Xian had decided to set up Heart's Dream, those who were willing to join were only her two closest younger sisters, Shao Qi and Su'er. So, when Mu Bing Yao joined they were pleasantly surprised, but their surprise was greater than their joy. Today, she understood somewhat why Mu Bing Yao joined. Perhaps it was because of Ling Chen? Yun Feng didn't tell her how she had invited Ling Chen, but reassured her many times that it was a deal between them and his requirements had already been met. He was bound to help her achieve her goals within his capabilities, and was a perfectly trustworthy person. In Yun Feng's eyes, someone who didn't leave his sister after watching her go through so many years of suffering could never hypocritical or of malicious intent, but rather a man of principle and integrity. Such a person would treat this commitment as important as life itself, and would never repay kindness with evil. In less than 10 days of the game starting, what Ling Chen was carrying was enough to shake the whole player base of the virtual world. Then, after a long time had passed, half a year, 2 years, his standing, how high it would be. I originally set up Heart's Dream to help with my own unwillingness and struggles. Before today, even I never thought that I would have succeeded. Yun Meng Xian whispered in absence of mind. She had always been calm on the surface, but Ling Chen in her prior performance had caused something to stir deep within her. But now, I have this inexplicable feeling that after 2 years, Heart's Dream will prosper. I don't know how, but in terms of fame, it is perhaps because of one person that it will become legendary. Who this was, Shao Qi and Su'er both clearly knew. To Yun Meng Xian, it sounded unbelievable, but there was a part of her that really wanted to believe it. Initially, Heart's Dream was made up of Yun Meng Xian and Shao Qi, Su'er. They did not have any experience in setting up or managing a guild, only enthusiasm and a goodwill for the future. How Heart's Dream was to grow, none of them really knew, and even after Mu Yaobing had joined them, they still hadn't found direction. It was only after Ling Chen joined that their mood had changed completely. The core of Heart's Dream was no longer Yun Meng Xian, but Ling Chen. Although it had only been one morning, they were already on the same page. With him present, Heart's Dream's future no longer looked bleak. Ruoruo, time to have lunch. After preparing food, Ling Chen changed his clothes, shaking Ling Shui Ruo's snow jade on her hand as she was still in the video game world. Very quickly, Shui Ruo's eyes widened, and yelled out with joy, "Big brother, I'm nearly level 4. So quick?" Because the 2 older sisters brought me to destroy high-level monsters, my leveling became a lot faster. They also protected me very well, not letting even a small monster bump into me. Also, the 2 big sisters are already level 10, but they still didn't leave the novice village. They said they were going to wait till I got to level 10 and leave with me. I didn't want them to do that, and tried to persuade them otherwise, but they insisted on leaving with me. These 2 older sisters really are great. I really don't know how to thank them. Ling Chen gently smiled, then helped her up from her bed, putting on her socks for her. He said, "That's because my Ruoruo is too likable, making them not want to leave you behind. I'll wait till Ruoruo and them get to Azure Dragon City, then we'll thank them together, but for now, let's go eat." "Oh, it smells delicious, hee. Older brother, look at me carefully, don't blink." Ling Shui Ruo smiled sweetly at Ling Chen, then, placing both feet on the ground she carefully stood up from the bed. Her body was still trembling a little, but now she was completely relying on her own strength to stay standing. Letting go of Ling Chen's body, she began to walk forward, with a face full of confidence and a soft, yet willful smile. Although she didn't walk very fast, every step she took was now very stable and straight, unlike previously when she was barely able to move. Before he knew it, Shura had moved out of his hands. Now, he was no longer holding on to her at all, as she walked ahead. Inching her way out of the bedroom, she briefly smiled back towards Ling Chen, then took another step as she moved towards the dinner table, before sitting in the chair that she always sat in. Although it took a while, there was not once where he doubted that she would fail. With every step she took, Ling Chen could feel his heart melting on the inside. He stared at her as she sat at the table, and when he finally looked up, it was impossible for him not to cry. Shura, in this life, only you can bring me so much happiness. Money, fame, strength, power, these things pale at the very sight of your smile. So long as you are by my side, would be the happiest man on earth, no matter what happens. For you, I would give up anything. Shura, being able to meet you in this life is a gift of God, the best thing that's ever happened to me. Yunfeng, your kindness, I do my best to repay it. It was almost 1 p.m. when Ling Chen appeared in the territory of the red-eyed lizards, right where he had logged off before. Looking at his surroundings, it appeared that he was the only there, apart from the other red-eyed lizards that were crawling around. Xuanyuan Xue Yi's group either hadn't arrived yet, or had gone elsewhere, as the area was too dangerous for them. He was just about to summon Ling and Xiao Hui, when an enchanting figure appeared in a shadowy glow that swept by his side. Like a goddess, shrouded in her black robes, she walked with an air of grace, her raven hair flowing down to her sides where it danced across her slender waist. Every time he saw Qiyu, he would lose control of his mind. She had tight eyebrows, starry eyes, pursed lips, a beautiful nose, and porcelain skin. It would be hard for anyone to control themselves. Ling Chen stared at her body, before ripping his eyes away and coldly saying, "Didn't I say that you weren't allowed to come out unless I said so?" Qiyu bit her lip, her lightly arched eyebrows twisted a little, and a trace of sadness flashed across her beautiful face. "Young master, do you really not want to see me that badly?" The whole morning, young master was surrounded by beauties, so beautiful that I wanted to keep them as pets when I saw them. Young master must have had his soul taken away by them, who knows, maybe young master doesn't even remember his own name. Ling Chen, but in fact, based on features alone, Ling Chen had never seen anyone that could compare to Qiyu. After all, she was a character in a virtual world and could be created to perfection. Such was her beauty that no feature of hers lacked devilish temptation, especially her full chest which was covered only by a thin layer of black threaded clothing. Moreover, her clothes were tightly worn, highlighting her curves even further. While she was talking, her breasts bounced up and down, almost overflowing from her garments, which Ling Chen found especially attractive. This was a woman that would make any man's life short-lived. Staying by her side would be far too dangerous. The best Ling Chen could do was try to avoid her, as he knew that every time she appeared he would feel the uncontrollable urge to rip off her clothes and take her down. "Qiyu, can I ask you a question?" "Oh?" Qiyu went to Ling Chen's side, glancing around as she pursed her red moist lips. Ling Chen closed his eyes, and said, "If one day I find both the Saint Orbs and God Orbs, will I have the strength to fight the whole Yan-Huang alliance?" If Ling Tian's words fell on the ears of a normal person, they would think he was crazy, but as he spoke, his face was that of complete seriousness. Qiyu laughed. What the Yan-Huang alliance was she knew from the conversations between Ling Tian and Xuanyuan Xue Yi. If you can return the lunar scourge to its complete state, you will be able to trample on anything, even the gods. All humans will be humbled in the face of your power, even the Yan-Huang alliance. If you want to destroy tens, hundreds, thousands, the power will be at your fingertips. The words of Qiyu made Ling Chen's heart skip a beat. There was a moment of silence as he pondered over whether what Qiyu was saying was true. Could an item that strong really exist in a video game world? Of course not. However, the search for the God Orbs and Saint Orbs would be very difficult. Young Master was already incredibly fortunate to find the Sagittarius Orb, for another one to appear would be nigh impossible. If you want to find the God Orbs and Saint Orbs, then the best approach is to scour every inch of the land of the Forgotten Continent and the waters around, but young Master needn't worry, he'll be able to find it within 1,000 years. Within a 1,000 years, what a joke. After a few hundred years I won't exist in the world anymore, let alone 1,000 years. Ling Chen secretly cried. A heart-fluttering fragrance blew by as Qiyu gently breathed into his ear, her whole body now pressed up against him. Young Master, are you thinking about the lunar scourge? When you're back, accompany me. I still haven't finished talking to you. Oh, that's right, do you like any of the little sisters that were with you this morning? If you do, just tell me and I'll immediately help you with her. If you like them all, that's fine too. I can make them all your personal pets, how about that? His heart began to beat faster upon feeling the warmth of her body and hearing her soft breathing in his ear. Qiyu stopped, her beautiful eyes turned to look at him. With a wave of her tender hand and charming smile, she disappeared, and the fragrance in the air slowly wafted away in the breeze. At the same time, not far from Ling Chen, a white figure appeared, heralded by the frigid aura that enshrouded her. Mu Bing Yao. Seeing Ling Chen, Mu Bing Yao's eyes darted around, and convinced that no one else was around, she quickly stepped towards him. Now standing in front of Ling Chen with her right hand across her chest, she bent down on one knee before him, her forehead hanging downwards. Master. The word escaped from Mu Bing Yao's mouth, voice as cold as ice without any emotion. Qiyu's departure allowed Ling Chen to let out a breath of air. He looked over Mu Bing Yao and gave her an indifferent smile. Get up. How many times have I said it, you don't have to kneel before me. Bing Yao dares not be equal to Master. Under the orders of Ling Chen, Mu Bing Yao rose, but her forehead was still drooping, so as to lower her body as much as possible. Ling Chen was too lazy to continue to deal with this problem. It was almost 1 p.m. and Xuanyuan Xue Yi and her group would be arriving soon. After thinking, Ling Chen asked, tell me what their real identities are. Mu Bing Yao expressionlessly nodded. Xuanyuan Xue Yi, the Yun Financial Group chief's only daughter, aged 19 and currently living alone in the north of Beijing. Her residence is called Heart's Dream Workshop. Shao Qi and Su'er currently also spend most of their time there. I am also living there too. Mu Bing Yao treated her words like gold, saying as little as possible. Everything that Ling Chen already knew about Xuanyuan Xue Yi, she didn't spend much time repeating. Shao Qi, the northern Chinese mafia godfather Shao Zhan's daughter, aged 17 and known as Princess in the Battle Alliance. She has an older brother known as Shao Qiufeng, who is very strong. Su'er, the mayor of Beijing, Xinghua Su's only daughter, aged 15. Her mother died when she was young, so she had never had a sense of security from a young age. She has a weak character and almost never goes out. About Su'er, Ling Chen interrupted Mu Bing Yao. He knew Su'er's background was not simple, but he did not think that she was the mayor's daughter. I heard she has a fiancé, do you know who it is? I do. You also know that person, Mu Bing Yao responded. I do? Xuanyuan Xue Yi, what? Ling Chen's brow rose, and his eyes suddenly became cold. Mu Bing Yao believed that if Ling Shui Ruo died of the Isrock disease, then Ling Tian, maddened by grief and sorrow, would let all of his hatred explode from within him, resulting in a terrifying outcome. Xuanyuan Xue Yi, is he that Sword Emperor? Ling Chen asked as he frowned. Within all of the people he knew, to be called the Sword Emperor, as well as occupy the #1 position in the heaven rankings and to be close with Long Tianyun, the person could only be someone from the Xuanyuan family. No, Mu Bing Yao said, Xuanyuan Xue Yi's mission is to protect the Long family, and has never stepped into the virtual gaming world before. Even if he wanted to, the Xuanyuan family would not allow it. It's not him? Ling Chen frowned, his face full of confusion. Then who is that number 1 on the heaven rankings, Sword Emperor then? I don't know. Whenever the Sword Emperor appears, his cloak is always fully wrapped around him. That includes his hair, eyes, hands. There is not a single bit of his body that is exposed. No one has ever seen what he truly looks like under his cloak. Moreover, he never speaks, he only kills. There were many times when I tried to look into his true identity, but my investigations were always fruitless. All I know is that his real name is Feng Xiaoyu, same as his name in the virtual world. Perhaps the only people who know his true identity are the Long family. Mu Bing Yao replied. Ling Chen was silent. When had such a person appeared in the Long family? Have you fought with the Sword Emperor before? It ended with my utter defeat. Mu Bing Yao said straightforwardly. Ling Chen shook his head in dismay, and said in a quiet voice, forget about it, whoever he is, doesn't really matter to me. Maybe one day if we fight, I'll find out something about him. He then laughed out loud, Ruo's been getting better, so I've been so happy that I'm itching for some action. Mu Bing Yao, you need to protect Meng Xian and them. Long Tianyun will probably send people to investigate and keep an eye on them, so make sure you're always alert. Ling Chen reminded her. Mu Bing Yao nodded, don't worry, master. Ling Chen replied. He looked at this cold beauty's face, and gave her a casual smile. He then turned around, and looked into the distance. Ling Chen decided that for the next few days, he would train here with the rest of the guild. Based on his progress in the morning, leveling up here was not slow at all, but was not very fast either. After all, there was only one Ling destroying mobs, but 5 people absorbing the EXP. What he didn't know was that his casual smile just then caused the icy-faced girl's heart to start rapidly beating. When things were peaceful, she always thought of that incredibly weak girl called Shui Rua, and wondered what sort of sorcery she had used to cause this man to make such inconceivable changes for her. He had changed so much that he would not even allow himself to be stained by blood anymore, putting down his unfathomable hatred. Although, suffering from the Israk disease, she would be constantly walking along the border between life and death, and yet she was probably the luckiest and happiest girl in the world. After an hour, Meng Xian, Shao Qi and Su'er simultaneously logged on. They were currently living at the same place, and were together during lunchtime. Big Sister Mu, Ling Tian, have you waited for long? Seeing Ling Tian and Mu Bing Yao already waiting, Meng Xian leisurely walked over. No, we just got here. Ling Chen said as he smiled. Big Sister Mu, Big Brother Ling Tian. Behind Meng Xian, Su'er politely greeted them, looking like an adorable doll that no one could resist hugging. Shao Qi directly skipped over to Ling Tian, and directly grabbed onto his arm. Big Brother Ling Tian, you're not allowed to sleep this afternoon. During lunch, the 3 of us were talking about you the whole time. There are so many things I want to ask you. I want to hear all of your stories, so make sure you tell us today. Alright? Big Brother Ling Tian. As a result, Ling Chen was pulled by Shao Qi to sit down on the grass with her, and was forced to answer many of her questions. However, being surrounded by 4 beautiful girls, any normal man would enjoy it. Not too far away, Ling and Xiao Hui, one in the sky, one on the ground, were working tirelessly, turning mobs of red-eyed lizards into EXP for Ling Chen and the others. Although they still had not known each other for a long time, they all felt quite close with each other, and interacted very naturally with each other. They had all met each other because of Heart's Dream, and Ling Chen's joining of the guild had caused great changes to Heart's Dream. In the next 2 days, Ling Chen trained with the 4 girls in the red-eyed lizard territory. Of course, it wasn't really training, but training, since it was free EXP. Under Shiling's outrageously strong attacks, mobs and mobs of red-eyed lizards were turned into EXP, causing the 4 girls' levels to rapidly increase. By now, they had all reached LV13, whereas Ling Chen, who had the permanent EXP debuff, heavens jealously. Ding! Congratulations, you have leveled up, now LV14, HP plus 20, MP plus 10, Strength plus 5. Ding! Your pet, Holy Spirit Beast Xiaohui has leveled up, now LV14. In the time that the 4 girls had risen by 2 levels, Ling Chen's LV13 EXP had just become full, reaching LV14. As for Xiaohui, his level had long since caught up to Ling Chen, and was restricted by Ling Chen's level. Finally, LV14. Ling Chen let out a breath as he looked at the level up sign about his head. Congratulations. Big brother Ling Tian is definitely the first in China, no, first in the whole world to reach LV14, that's right, I heard that when someone reaches LV15, the player rankings will be released. Xiao Qi said as she smiled. At that time, big brother Ling Tian will definitely be in first place, and we're already LV13, so we might even be able to get into the top 100. Wow, I'm getting excited just thinking about it. The 4 girls felt that Ling Chen's leveling speed was somewhat slow. The first time they had met, he was already LV13. Over the course of these few days, they had risen from LV10 to LV13, yet Ling Chen had only risen from LV13 to LV14. However, they did not think too much about this. At this time, Yunmeng Xian had stood up, and after a short pause, said, Chi, Su, with our levels now, we are able to enter the top 100 on the player rankings. However, she paused, then continued, from tomorrow, we should go somewhere else to practice, and let Ling Tian train by himself. Ling Chen looked up at Yunmeng Xian, but did not say anything. Why? It's so easy to level up with big brother Ling Tian, and we don't even need to do anything ourselves. Why do we need to go somewhere else? Xiao Qi and Su'er both revealed expressions of confusion. Is it because having high levels is bad for us? Su'er asked in a small voice. Yunmeng Xian shook her head. That's not the reason. One's level does not determine their overall power. Increasing by 1 level only gives a few stat bonuses, but in comparison, SP, equipment and personal skills are much more important than levels. Thus, having a high level mainly makes you look good, but does not increase your overall power by much. The number 2 player on the heaven rankings, the Dark Knight's Gue Ye rarely appears on the player ranking, and yet he is publicly acknowledged as the number 2 player in China. But, why do we need to leave big brother Ling Tian? Simple. Yunmeng Xian's expression was calm. She had originally intended to say these things yesterday, because of Ling Tian, without exerting any effort at all. We've acquired gold weapons that other people can only dream of, as well as a hidden profession. Even leveling up is much faster, and we don't even have to do anything. No one would pass up on this type of experience, but by staying with Ling Tian, we'll begin to rely on him too much. In this whole process, we are not required to face any powerful monsters by ourselves, or suffer from exhaustion or danger. If everything is simply given to us, the thrill and excitement of the game itself will soon begin to fade. Moreover, our battle skills, resourcefulness and weapon proficiency will not rise at all, but instead decline. Even if we have the best equipment and a powerful class, we'll still be powerless without a good battle sense and battle experience. Yunmeng Xian's words shocked Xiao Qi and Su'er, and they all lapsed into silence. Ling Tian is extremely powerful, so powerful that it's incomprehensible. However, Heart's Dream does not comprise solely of Ling Tian. Every single one of us needs to improve so that we do not have to rely on anyone. Moreover, if we aren't here, Ling Tian's training will be more free, and it'll become much easier for him to level up. He can do many quests that are on his level, and rise to a level that surpasses everyone else. At that time, our heart's dream will be glorified along with him. Right now, if we continue to follow him around, we'll only become a burden to him. We don't want that, right? We all have our own classes, and have our own power and strength. We should continue to struggle and fight, and use our own abilities to walk forwards to see what heights we can rise to. Ling Chen smiled. He had been waiting for Xuanyuan Xue Yi to say these things. Having given Heart's Dream as much support as possible, he now had to get rid of their dependence on him. He hoped that when Heart's Dream stood at the top of all other guilds, it wouldn't just be him supporting it. Oh, I understand now. After thinking for a while, Xiaoqi vigorously nodded her head and agreed. The look of confusion had long since vanished on her face, and she did not seem unwilling to part with Ling Tian anymore. She had always been someone who strove for excellence, as well as someone who admired strong people and wanted to become strong herself, and to not lose to any boys. Ling Chen was someone who she was very curious about, and she secretly admired him. Up until now, she had been leisurely enjoying the benefits he had brought, almost taking them for granted. Only after hearing Xuanyuan Xue Yi's words did she realize this. I will listen to Big Sister, Su'er said as she earnestly nodded her head.